Hello, good evening and welcome ladies and gentlemen to the return and the resumption of the NXTGEN Racing Touring Car Championship Season 6 as powered by IMB Racewear and brought to you on the Premier Sim Racing platform available only on PC, and that of course is iRacing. That's right ladies and gentlemen, we are back for our mid-season break to kick off what is an absolutely thrilling set of 6 weeks of racing, 18 races to see us all the way through to the conclusion of the 6th season of the NXTCC, and we begin the second half of the season today with round 5 of 10 at the one and only MotorLand Aragón circuit. The circuit that is very young compared to most of its counterparts on the European continent, having only opened in 2009, MotorLand Aragón is a venue which is perhaps better known for racing on 2 wheels, but it is gradually establishing its name and reputation as being a circuit where 4-wheel racing action can also be enjoyed. Consisting of the best part of 18 corners and a track length for span of approximately 3 miles, it is a circuit that is absolutely packed with technical tests, whether it be sweepers, hairpins, alternative chicanes, but also within the mix is a classic back straight extended to the best part of a kilometre in length, and many of you will be going, well that means it's Herman Tilke designed. Indeed it is, ladies and gentlemen, designed by the one and only Herman Tilke, and this circuit is one that is much loved for its ability to generate brilliant racing action and offer overtaking opportunities at practically every single corner of the circuit. But as our drivers get ready to go racing today under the sultry Spanish sun, they'll be contesting 3 races, and you can see our schedule there, times in British summertime, that's BST, or Universal Coordinated Time +1 at UTC +1. We'll be going into qualifying in just under 19 minutes time, with our drivers out of the circuit looking to absolutely do their best to put it on pole, as pole could be critical to success today, with overtaking being plentiful but also being challenging. And then we're going to our first of 3 races, all 9 laps in duration, all sprint races as well. And race number 1 will be at 8:15, after which we'll take a brief breather before returning for the build-up to race number 2 just before 9 o'clock this evening. And then we'll do the same after the dust settles from race number 2, albeit not without our reverse grid draw in preparation for race number 3, anticipated to get underway at 9:45 this evening. Now this broadcast is being brought to you live from circuit side on 3 media platforms for your viewing pleasure. Firstly, you could be tuned via one of the 2 official NXTGEN Racing media platforms, which do include YouTube, and welcome to you guys and girls on YouTube, including their handsome Stu, who's looking beautiful as always. We also have Tom Buxton and also Alex Meredith. Good evening to you guys, and to all you guys and girls on YouTube haven't said hi, don't be shy, feel free to say hi, and that's on YouTube at NXTGEN Racing. But if you're not a YouTube person, you could of course be tuning in via Facebook right now, and that's at the facebook.com/groups/NXTGEN Racing official Facebook group, and welcome to you guys and girls on Facebook. And then last we have the unofficial broadcast available on Twitch at twitch.tv/TX141, and welcome to you guys and girls on Twitch. But who is TX141, I hear you ask? Well, let me introduce myself. My name is Paul Walsh, also known as TX141 or Britain a Spit, depending on what media you follow me on. Now we're bringing you all your racing action from the circuit side today, indeed for the entirety of the season. And well, let's talk about the season, what we've got left in the calendar. For as we can see, we now make our way beyond the break week, and we last time wrapped up the first half of the season with quite a heavily rescheduled season, it must be said, but back on the 9th of April we let things calm down after our races at the Long Beach Street circuit in the US state of California. Prior to that, of course, we opened up on the 12th of March at the Silverstone National Circuit in the United Kingdom, a one and only a visit to the United Kingdom for this season, an absolutely short circuit packed with battling action to get us underway. And then in round number 2 on the 19th of March we made our way to Italy for a classic at the Autodromo National Monza, where it's all about the straight line speed and the slipstream. And in between rounds 2 and 4 we of course made our way down under for the first time this season to the Sandown International Motor Raceway on the 26th of March, and there the classic touring car racing circuit in Australia delivered a classic set of races, albeit quite a bit of carnage as well, but our drivers able to get through and move on to round number 4. But after round 4 on our mid-season break, we are back today on the 23rd of April for MotorLand Aragón, and after today we've got 5 more rounds, with round number 6 being on the 30th of April, that's next week, at the Watkins Glen International Circuit. And it'll be the second of our 3 visits to the United States of America. And I do believe our drivers are going to take on the full boot course of the Watkins Glen International Circuit. The last time we went there, we raced on the Classic Cup course, but we're bringing you the full layout next week. And then we make our way back to Italy for the second and final time this season on the 7th of May for the Autodromo International del Mugello, a circuit that's been recently introduced to the iRacing simulator platform. And what better time to introduce it to the NXTCC calendar, and a lot of hype and interest is going up and down the paddock with regards to us visiting Mugello. But after that, we're making our way back back to a circuit that many of our drivers will be familiar with, and that will be the Grand Prix Laos of the Hockenheimring Baden-Württemberg circuit in Germany. That'll be on the 14th of May. And then our penultimate round of racing will be arriving from the grave, the Oran Park Raceway circuit in Australia for our second of 2 visits to Australia. And the circuit was discontinued in 2010 and turned into a housing estate. We bring it back as a motoring circuit on the 21st of May. We'll bring it all to a close with all drivers racing around the Florida State circuit in the US of Daytona International Speedway as our drivers take on the road course layout. They'll be having to deal with the oval banking just as much as the infield, and it's going to be mixed fortunes there in terms of what goes in the strengths and weaknesses of our drivers' cars, and could it be mixed fortunes to end the season calendar? We'll have to wait to see. That's on the 28th of May, but we've got a long way to go. And on the way to the very end, of course, let's give you an update on the championship standings after 4 rounds of racing, and we start off with the overall Drivers' Championship. And the big question is, at the very top of the standings, who can unsettle the man known as Wojciech Swirydowicz, who now leads on 544 points to the 385 of Luciano Witvoet. It is the case that the Polish driver right now on a 159-point advantage. He seems inflappable, even with the maximum success ballast in the car 9 times out of 10. But with Witvoet moving into P2 after a brilliant set of results last time out, right now it does look as though the world of racing driver is keen to make sure he's the runner-up as a minimum if he can't reel in the championship leader. But behind him, Mikey Doble in P3, 3-time champion, defending champion for this season, and yet to pick up a single overall win. And, well, we've never seen that in the NXTCC's history. In the fact, he's always picked up a win in at least the opening 2 rounds of the season, but he's yet without an overall win. Can he put his name at the top of the standings today? We'll have to see, with Jamie Doyle and Benjamin McCluskey not too far behind, 7 points separating the trio, and they wrap up your top 5. It's then 9 points to Isaac Dolan, 351, ahead of Gavin Gardner, with Joseph Doble only a further point behind, and the third member of the Doble family looking to find a resurgence of form, with Adam Delwant, P9 and 318 points ahead of Jack Jeffries, who completes your top 10, and Jeffries with one of the stars of Long Beach and is very keen to try and push upwards into what is the top 5. But from his 258 points, you have the leading prime driver of Nick Clemens on 251, albeit that's based on overall points. You'll see very shortly it's severely adjusted when we come to the prime calculations, but Clemens there in P11, 3 points clear of Pro-Am Championship leader, as you'll see shortly, of Adam McNally, and you have Kieran Sharp, Patrick Falconer and Daniel Downing completing your top 15. From the 207 points to the 205 of Wayne Douglas, it's then Alex Meredith ahead of Stuart Wyness and Lee Horn and Akram Zanoon completing your top 20. And then we make our way outside the top 20 to P21, and it's none other than the Sim Racing Collective's Andrew Pike, who's still yet to find his pace and grace, albeit ahead of Matthew Addy, who's also been struggling to a degree, and the prime driver will be looking to try and set himself on course today. Another name that's been struggling recently, Ben Altrier in the prime class in 156 points in P23, ahead of Slavomir Jarvosky, with Russell Fowler completing your top 25, and it's the prime contingent of Reese Watt, Sam Van Olst, Matthew Sheraton, Luke Jones and Alan McCain who complete your top 30. From them, it's your leading AM driver in P31 and Mark Sykes ahead of Shane Piggott, with Piotr Jegosewski at P33 and 87 points, 9 clear of Jack Southfield. With them, we do have Harley Bicknell, P35, the second place AM driver in the charge after Sykes, with Marcel Fritsch, Kieran Smart, Duncan Moraes, Sam Smith and Mark Kent completing your top 40. And outside the top 40, the remainder of our drivers here, let's not forget about them. Ian Manners, P41 on 42 points, ahead of which Jonathan Collins and Matt Emmons and Mitchell West all on 33 points apiece, and it's result countback that separates the trio, with Mark Redford P45 and some good results towards the end of the first half of the season. We're looking forward to plenty more from the prime driver today. The same for Gabriel Yilmaz in the AM class in the Aztec Racing Audi RS3, and then we're going to see Daniel Fritz P47 ahead of Andrew Holmes, with what is Kevin Smith and Craig Tillerson completing your top 50. Outside of the top 50, P51 is James Scout ahead of John Higgins Jr. based on result countback, and the same ahead of Jack Bolton. Unfortunately, we do believe and have been informed will not be on the grid for the remainder of the season due to personal circumstances, but as always, we wish him well. And then we see Darren Ills and Riley Sheridan completing your top 55, with Costa Chatscontanan to P56 ahead of Roy Plummer, with Darren Doherty, Tom Anderson and Christine Racines completing your championship standings. But now we come onto the prime class, and here we can say, leading the prime class when the points are adjusted, it's Adam McNally, the man who has proven to be the stable top man of the class over the last couple of rounds, and indeed, we have seen different names top it at different points, but Adam McNally seems to be unshakable, and I think his challenge is in a Wojciech Swirydowicz from the overall standings to the prime class. However, one man who is on the counter-attack today, and we saw that at Long Beach, Daniel Downing, who has closed the deficit, and the deficit now standing at 50 58 points. With Nick Clemens a further 12 behind, and keep your eyes out for the iRacing Esports driver as he looks to try and chase down the top two. And Benel Trier has fallen to P4 on 395 points, but he'll be looking for a comeback today. Stuart Winus has snuck his way into P5 on 380 points, and he'll think that many won't have seen it happen, but we definitely have for the Track Scotland driver, and that goes to show how he's finding his form. And the same for Alex Meredith, who after a very bumpy start is now starting to recover and has moved into P6. From the 368 points of Meredith is then 356 of Lee Horn, with Matthew Addy, Akramson and Reeswat completing a top 10. And only 2 points outside the top 10 from one JW Motorsport driver to another, it's Luke Jones, with Slamir Javosky a further 2 points behind. And it's 303 points to Alan McCain, who's yet to break into the top 10, but is looking keen to do so. Matthew Sheraton and Russell Fowler complete your top 15. Keep your eyes out for Russell Fowler. Indeed, keep your eyes on the 5 drivers outside the top 10 from P11 through to P15, because the eagle-eyed of you who can do the mathematics quickly may be noticing the fact there's only 19 points from P10 of Reeswat to Fowler in at P15, and it's a further 9 points there. Well, in fact, it's a further 8 points, we should say, to Sam Van Olst in P16. The key point being to be inside the top 10 of the Prime class right now is excruciatingly tight. Shane Peart connects a clear divide from P16 to P17, with the best part there of almost 30 points from Van Olst, with Marcel Fritsch, Piotr Jegosleski and Kieran Smart completing the top 20. And outside the top 20, we have Mitchell West, P21 on 165 points, had a great race at what was Long Beach, indeed finding those results, and we look forward to plenty more, much like Mark Redford. And it's Duncan Moraes, Sam Smith and Jack Southwood who complete your top 25, with Ian Manners P26 and John Higgins Jr. And it's Andrew Holmes, Tom Anderson and Darren Dotty who complete your championship standings. But now we come on to the AM class, and here we can see Mark Sykes leads the way on 621 points to the 553 of Harley Bicknell. These two have been the favourites so far this season, but Sykes is finding a way to stay at the top. However, the run of wins between the classes drivers seems to be occupied by these two, and could we see Sykes strike back today after Bicknell was able to pick up the better portion of points last time out? We'll have to wait to see, as Jonathan Collins meanwhile sits in a stalwart P3 on 453 points, and he's got the emerging form of Craig Tillerson there in P4, and Kevin Smith moving into P5 after a great set of results for him and the Verona Motorsport team, and was Long Beach moving them further up the order, and it's a gap of 50 points to Daniel Fritz in P6. Riley Sheringham sits P7 ahead of Gabriel Yilmaz, with James Mercer-Scout and Darren Ills completing a top 10. And then we have Roy Plummer, who has celebrated his birthday at Long Beach, where he's into P11 now on 246 points. He couldn't have asked for a better birthday present, moving up the order, with Matt Emmons not too far behind. And it's Mark Ken, Costa Chats Continental, and what is there also Reese Edwards and Vilmos Blau who complete your championship standings. But as we then come on to the team's championship standings, let's talk a little bit about our teams all accrued together, and we can see that Next Gen Pink, defending teams champions, are holding on to lead, but it's only by 31 points over Doble Sim Racing, who've returned to P2, and right now the top two teams are charging away. Semper Racing sitting P3 on 629 points, with Swirydowicz picking up the lion's share of points in each and every round so far, but his teammates yet to be able to add their totals to it in a fashion they'd like it to. Indeed, I think they're going to be looking for a more consistent spread across the team today. And the same can be said for SRL Next Gen Gold. They've had moments of brilliance, no doubt about it, but right now they just need to get their strategy together if they want to close to the top three. And with the fact only 54 points behind, we have Team at Next Gen in P5. They're going to be under pressure, will be SRL Next Gen Gold, but we can see P6 and not too far behind the top 5 battle is the Sim Racing Collective, with JW Motorsport denoted a clear break in the standings of 381 points, and the fight for P7 with it, with VB Fusion, the World of Racing, P8 ahead of iRacing Esports, and Goldwing Motorsport complete your top 10. Coming into P11 from the 293 points of Goldwing Motorsport, it's Red Grove Projects. Jack Jeffries leading the team by himself and yielding them all the way to the best of the rest spot. Can he break into the top 10 soon? We get the feeling he might be able to. With Track Scotland a little bit further behind, the combination of Smart and Wineness, and then we do have Full Tilt B Motorsport, Performance Link Esports and Aztec Racing completing your top 15. Outside the top 15 is Ace of Spades Racing, to move to P16 and moving up the ranks this season, with Grant Davis Motorsport Racing falling to P17 ahead of Whiskey Runner Racing. Next, Bank Redford West Racing and Verona Motorsport complete your top 20. And outside the top 20, we have the organisation and C Racing in P21 on 0 points. The same for Virtuality Autosports, and also going from Costa C Racing Photography to 287 Motorsport under a rebranding. They sit in P at 23, and that's based on result countback. That completes our Teams Championship stands, and let's come on to our circuit for today. For our host circuit, of course, as we mentioned earlier, is MotorLand Aragón, located near Alcañiz in the Teruel region of the state of Aragon in Spain. And the touring car layout of the circuit we will be playing host to our drivers tonight. First, we can see from the circuit map provided by iRacing.com, and thank you to iRacing for their fantastic simulator, and with it the absolutely brilliant track maps that come included. This is the full layout of the circuit. It's the equivalent of the Grand Prix layout, but you will be seeing a number of tyre barriers on the apex of the corners, and will be laid out for touring car racing. Indeed, this circuit has played host to European TCR and also ETCR in previous years. But as our drivers go charging around, they'll find themselves absolutely assaulted by a number of very tricky corners, particularly the run through turns 8 and 9, called nicknamed what is the Spanish corkscrew, in reference to the corkscrew corner sequence of Laguna Seca in the US state of California. But you've also got the run all the way down to the turn 16 hairpin, while the high speed runs you'll see on a European circuit, and at the end of it all were the heaviest braking zones combined. But as our drivers charge their way across the start finish line and into turn 1, they'll find their way into a sweeping left hand right angle corner, where it's all about being brave on the brakes and using the widest possible entry line. But don't be surprised if we see 3-4 wide there into turn 1 on lap 1. And as our drivers make their way flat out through turn 2, it's the uphill run through 3 off camber, and then into the rising crest of turns 4 and 5. They're hard on the brakes, they'll make the way out through the sweeper at 6, and into always the right angled right hander of turn number 7, before it's all downhill for turns 8 and 9, and into the Marc Marquez sweeping left hander at turn number 10. Flat out our drivers will go through the kink of 11 and into the braking zone for turn 12, and as they exit 12 it'll be a bounce to the throttle through 13, we're going into the chicane at turns 14 and 15. Out of the medium speed chicane they'll roar, and as they do onto that back straight where the overtaking opportunities will bound, particularly for our Audi RS3 drivers, and into the braking zone of the sliced corner circuit. Turn 16 they'll go, braking up potentially up to 3-4 wide, but as they exit it's flat out for the kinks of 17 and 18 to complete the lap and do it all over again. And let's give you a quick reminder of the rules, because we can't go racing without them. Setup wise, this is a fixed setup series with all setups provided to our drivers ahead of each and every round of racing. Driver class wise, the classes were finalised as the conclusion of round number 3. In terms of the sprint race grids, we'll see the race 1 grid shall be set based on results of qualifying, that's a given. The race 2 grid shall be set based on results of race 1, so how our drivers finish in race 1, that's exactly how they start in race 2. And the race 3 grid shall be a reverse grid based on results of race number 2, with the reversal position being drawn live from the commentary booth between P13 and P23. Indeed, whatever number we put out in the Next Gen Racing Lottery Bowl, that'll be where we reverse the grid from, and it's always the tensest race of the day. And in each and every race, each driver shall have 1 fast repair available should they pick up significant damage, and each race shall conclude after either the allotted lap amount or 30 minutes, whichever expires first. And with 9 laps of racing, we are expecting the races to last approximately 20 to 21 minutes, but we can't rule out safety cars, and with that, the extension of the racing. But speaking of safety cars and race stewarding, an independent race director will be watching all of the races tonight, and indeed for the whole season, for track limit infringements and the deployment of the safety car. With regards to those pesky track limits, if they are infringed, the first and second warnings are accrued. There's no penalty, they're just warnings. On the third warning, it's a 5-second post-race time penalty. We've doubled it to 10 on the fourth warning, and on your 5th warning, it's a drive-through penalty that must be served within 3 laps. And racing incidents shall be reviewed at post-round. Now, as for success ballast, of course, we continue to run success ballast throughout this season, and it'll be applied on a race-by-race basis to the overall classification, plus also the Prime and AM classes. And we see for qualifying in race 1, it's based on the championship standings going into this round. And for race 2, we update it based on the finishing positions of race 1, and we do the same again for race 3 based on the finishing positions of race number 2. And those success ballast tables on screen right now, and we won't go into all the numbers there, but Wojciech Swirydowicz in the overall classification continues to take 56.1 kilograms in the Audi RS3. I don't know how he does it, ladies and gentlemen, competing for pole in qualifying and also competing for race wins from the outset, but he's found a way. And more in the Prime class, it is going to be the question of Adam McNally having to carry that 32.5 kilograms, and Mark Sykes, of course, in the AM class carrying the max with 24.5 kilograms. It's definitely going to be a tough day for our drivers carrying the maximum weight given the nature of our host circuit. And that's enough rules, regulation, everything between. You're all here for the racing, and so are we. And as we return trackside here, ladies and gents, we have a number of drivers piped up, including Wojciech Swirydowicz, who you see their parts in the pit lane at a distance. The Semper Racing driver absolutely ready to go. But let's take a look at some drivers out of the circuit, including none other than Alex Meredith there for Next Gen Racing. As he makes his way down into turn number 1 with just 2 minutes left on the clock in his final practice warm-up session. Well, right now he'll be looking to get the last little bit of practice he can before he does go racing. But looking P6 at the moment overall, and second place in the Prime class in the practice times. Only wins the best part of 200s behind Ben Altria. I think he'll be feeling confident that he might be within attacking distance today. But I have to wait to see what he's going to be able to do. As meanwhile, we also do talk a little bit about Wayne Douglas here, and well, the Next Gen Pink driver had one of his results disqualified from what was Long Beach after picking up a significant number of instant points in the third race of the day, so losing some key points there. And was the next gen pink driver makes his way up towards turn, what is their turn number 5. I think he'll be feeling as though today he needs to stay out of the drama and out of trouble. But as he rips his way around the circuit and looking to get himself all set up and ready to go, well, good news is as well, you are going to see on the grid today Akram Zanoon, who you can see here for the organisation, and well, the 139 driver having technical issues with his pedals a couple of weeks ago. He's been able to get those technical issues resolved, and we're very pleased to see the prime driver back on the grid today. We look forward to seeing how he gets on as he makes his way down in to turns 8 and 9. But as he does so as well, a bit of a change with regards to pedals and setup for another driver as well, and the fact that Daniel Downing, who you'll see parts in the pit lane, in fact he's not in the pit lane at the moment, but Daniel Downing is running a whole new setup in his simulator at home, and it does mean he's getting used to it at the moment, and therefore he might be finding his pace as the racing goes on. But as we look to Jamie Dory, 2-time NXTCC overall champion in the number 13. I had a brief opportunity to catch up with him in the build-up to today, and he's saying about the fact he's feeling good for it, but still wondering how particularly Swirydowicz is able to find the pace in the Audi, and Dory right now really using Swirydowicz as his marker, and all is pointing in the right direction for the Polish driver from Semper Racing, who we can see here out of the circuit just in front of Dory. But as the checkered flag comes out of practice, ladies and gentlemen, you know what time it is? It's time for qualifying. Who's going to be on pole? Let's find out. As our drivers make their way out into circuit to go into attack mode for the first time today, and in anger this time, we do look to the blimp camera as the pit lane comes alive from all of our drivers, and everybody right now trying to very quickly get out there, because whilst this circuit does have quite an extended length, at the same time as well, you do not want to get caught up in traffic around here for the simple reason that if you do find yourself obstructed going into certain corners, you lose a huge amount of time, because it's not about the speed you carry out of one particular corner, it's the speed you carry from corner to corner, particularly after turn number 10, the latter half of the lap around here is all about carrying momentum, and that run through turn 12 all the way through to 15, the back-to-back chicane sequence of those medium speed chicanes, definitely perhaps one of the crunch points when it comes to trying to steer clear of traffic. As our drivers make the way out of the pit lane, we do have the best part of what is 45 plus drivers here today. It's an absolutely packed circuit, and well, we talked a little bit about some pro drivers and prime drivers, but we went into qualifying. But here is your AM Championship leader as he makes his way up the rise and into turns 4 and 5, Mark Sykes, and as he does so heading onto the brakes in the Audi RS3, well, he'll be looking to try and carry on that championship lead, but knowing the challenge is even bigger with each and every round because the pressure is applied to him. But as he makes his way on down, we do say hello to a good number more of you in the respective chats, including Phil McDougall there, and well, of course, the infamous CXR Project Black driver, infamous for all the right reasons, of course, having raced in the NXTCC for multiple seasons in the Prime class, and also raced in the Next Gen Racing GT3 League in its early days, and one of the most accomplished drivers on the grid in his class back in those days. It must be said, for some brilliant racing action, and partnering with, I do believe at the time it was Jason Landry, unless I'm very much mistaken. And well, good evening to you, Phil, and we also say hello on the YouTube chat to Verano Motorsport, who of course will be keen to see how their drivers get on, and wishing the best of luck to the Verano boys, and hopefully some more podiums after what was a great set of podiums for the team last time out. And well, if you're looking for the Verano Motorsport drivers, of course, you do have Matt Emmons, who you see here in the Hyundai Veloster in the number 72, running what I do believe is their junior or trainee livery, albeit I can't quite remember the right vocabulary right now, so they'll have to forgive me for that, but that's one of their two liveries. And you also do have Kevin Smith out there, who is running the more traditional Verano Motorsport livery in the black and yellow, as you see him making his way down the back straight. But as he does so, now coming to a big question, which is what can we expect in qualifying? Well, firstly, toe is going to be important, particularly on this back straight, which you're seeing a number of drivers queue up on right now, in the fact that this back straight can be worth an extra 2 to 3 attempts in the toe, and also around that coming out of turn 16 to the start finish line as well, you can pick up an absolutely huge toe through turn number 17, and that could really aid your lap. And on top of that, given the balance of characteristics of this circuit, we are not expecting one particular car to be outright the fastest, although form this season has indicated that the Audi RS3 really has been the car to beat over a single lap, and even in race trim it has had a slight edge, but we had a lot of power circuits over the course of the first half of the season, and well, the Audi, the true king of power in the TCR class, it must be said. But then again, we've also seen some brilliant performances from the slower cars on the grid, including the Honda Civic Type Rs, arguably the slowest cars on the straight line, but very fast in the corner. corners with the best brakes in the field. And we are looking at Andrew Pike here in one of the Honda Civic TCR machines, being followed there by, I do believe, none other than Mikey Doble, and also chasing after what is the car of Adam Manali just in front of him. And once they make the way through, Manali and also Adam Delman together there, nose to tail. And right now, Pike experiencing what we were talking about earlier, which is you don't want to find yourself in the wrong set of traffic. And I think right now he's got a driver in front of him who's a little bit slower on pace by comparison. He's got a driver behind him who's faster on pace, and well, that is the worst possible combination you can have. But the thing is, you've got to stick to your guns and have faith in the rule book, which says if you are in a qualifying lap and you are the lead driver, you have the right to the racing line. You shouldn't feel pressured, and it's the driver behind responsibility to make sure you're unimpeded on your qualifying lap. But of course, then Pike's got to balance the act for the SRL NXTGEN Gold car in front of him, and that's where that rule comes back to bite him immediately as he makes his way on through. But meanwhile, taking a very different approach out is Gabriel Yilmaz. As I look at my contour booth, we know he's just going to cross the start-finish line into turn 1, and a very lonely Yilmaz, it must be said, and here he is on camera. But the Aztec Racing driver may know something that we don't, in terms of the fact if he goes out there in clear air, he might be able to get a solid banker in, and well, the AM class driver definitely has found his form over the last couple of rounds, and we're looking forward to seeing whether he can potentially put it on AM pole today. But meanwhile, as our first laps coming on the board for a number of drives, we look to the Red Grove Projects driver of Jack Jeffries as he makes his way on through turn at number 17 into 18, taking it nice and smooth in the Hyundai Elantra. And well, I get the feeling we're going on board for a lap with Jack Jeffries. Indeed we are, ladies and gentlemen, and here we go as he takes us round for a flying lap at MotorLand Aragón. So he makes his way down to turn 1, braking at the 100-metre board all the way down the gearbox to second gear, going a little bit deep from apex. But as he comes out the corner in second now, up into third, turns in nice and early for turn number 2, flat out here as he lets the car roll out to the left-hand side, open up turn number 3, balance the throttle, and hold in fourth gear as he makes his way up the rise. They'll bring it over to the right side to open up turn number 4, but here into the King of 4, you're braking just off the apex of 4 to set up turn 5, 125 meters of quarter apex, through the left-hander he goes, and immediately there, bring the car to the left-hand side. In fact, backing off, Jeffries not happy with the lap and having to wait to go again, and now he's got a long waiting time in the fact he's got an absolutely huge traffic jam of cars making its way up behind, so he takes to the runoff area there to steer clear and not impede any drivers, but making a mistake, he's not too happy about it, so we'll have to wait and get on board that with another driver shortly. As you can see there, him having to stance himself away from the tyre barriers of the touring car racing layout of the Grand Prix circuit. But as he makes his way down in to turns 8 and 9, well, meanwhile, those first lap times on the board, it's Slavomir Jarvosky, the pro and driver in Semper racer, who's taken up the fastest lap so far, albeit we are waiting to see even faster laps coming. Remember, the first flying lap's not a true indication in the fact the tyres are only about 75% warmed up at this point, and they normally need 2 flying laps to get the tyres in the optimal window, and therefore really be able to go on the attack, or at least a warm-up lap and a flying lap. And now the second flying lap is where we should start to see the pace or drive shining through, albeit they've got a lot of fuel in the cars as well still, and they'll be looking to burn that out over the course of the remaining qualifying session. But one other factor we haven't talked about, and many of you may have noticed this already on the timing on the left-hand side of the screen, is the fact, look at the lap time around here, 2 minutes 12 for the fastest drives. We could be seeing some 2:11s in qualifying. Indeed, the target time, I do believe, down the paddock is a 2:11.9 for pole from what I've been hearing. But the key point being is a 2+ minute lap. And that means when you take 15 minutes and divide it by 2, well, you get the number 7.5. But then, of course, with overtime in effect, you make that 8, but given the fact that our drivers have a warm-up lap, and then they do have the best part of what is at 2 minutes, plus also about 10 seconds to 15 seconds, depending on where they are in the field, all that added together means you only really do have an effectively 6 laps to try and put yourself in pole and class as far up the order as you can, perhaps even less if you decide to break up your laps and do some cool-down laps in between, and that's going to mean for our drivers it's going to be a real headache if they can't find that lap from the outset, and it could see them qualify well out of order. But meanwhile, as Benjamin McCluskey leads the field up the hill in towards turn number 5. Well, right now the NXTGEN Racing driver, fastest driver out than a 2:11.136. Indeed, we've already seen the lap time shattered into 2:11. So what information we were able to gather down the paddock was completely incorrect. Looks like we might be going for 2-minute 10s here rather than 2:11.9s. Could we see at a 2-minute 10? Albeit I'm going to say that, and the driver's going to suddenly put in a 2-minute 9 at this rate. Well, as they make their way down towards turns 8 and 9, McCluskey definitely looking on fine form so far. But it's interesting to see as well at the bottom of the time tower there, outside our top 35, how right now there's only one AM driver who's just launched his way up into the top 15, exactly P15 overall, and that is Harley Bicknell, and the JW Motorsport Elantra driver finding some pace out there. Guys, the rest of the Anfield all clustered together towards the bottom of the top 35 and out of it. Darren Hills moves up to P30 on a 2:13.336. A good qualifying lap for the Ace of Spades racing drive, albeit it goes very deep into one, but I think he won't mind that. I think he'll be looking to cool down this lap as Daniel Fritz moves up to P34. But as he does some more laps going from drives, Mark Kent goes P32. And well, from them, are there any surprises out there? Well, one big surprise at the moment is Jamie Dory yet to get a valid lap on the board, but I get the feeling he might just be biding his time right now and waiting for an opportunity. We see a car going slowly on the runoff area there, coming in through 10 into 11. That's, I do believe, Akram Zanoon, who's just taken his time to rejoin, given the fact he's got all the drives making the way through. But Dory right now eager to try and make a better impression sooner rather than later. And I think he will be concerned if he's not quite able to find that time. But as the drives make the way on around, we're already halfway through the qualifying session, another half to go. And well, Wojciech Swirydowicz currently down in P27. But when he goes purple in subsector 1 and purple in subsector 3, you know something special is coming from the championship leaders. He makes his way to the line. McCluskey's just in front of him, and well, it means that Swirydowicz is going to get a distant tie. McCluskey's going to improve, and he improves to a 2:10.984. Swirydowicz is 2 tenths off in P2 now to 2:11.180. So perhaps he matching the previous time from McCluskey, but McCluskey raises the bar even higher. But the point being here, Swirydowicz immediately launching himself all the way out to the front row of the grid provisionally, and McCluskey right now seems to be on absolutely scintillating form to perhaps take his first overall pole position in qualifying this season. But also speaking of some fine performances, we've got Ben Altrier here. We talked about the fact he was looking to fire back today, and he's doing exactly that right now as he makes his way on through turns 2 and 3 in a bit of a line of cars there, and that towards the back of it, he's picking up the best part of what is a quartet of tow lines from the cars in front. Lee Horn being the closest one, the Honda Civic, but the 40 Motorsport Elantra right now looking absolutely on fine form, and it's all thanks to Altrier putting in the effort as he makes way out of turn 16 towards 7 here. Could he go a bit higher given the fact that Sam Smith is not too far behind, and Smith being the best part of what is a 10th of Altrier's P4 lap time right now. And Smith, the Irish esports driver, who when he has his moments of brilliance, they are absolutely fantastic to see. He doesn't get too many opportunities to shine too bright, but today he's looking to be shining high. And well, speaking of shining, let's take a little look at the weather with regards to what we can expect with the weather conditions here today. And we'll know rain on the cards, unfortunately, due to the fact we've had a recent update from iRacing to say that, well, there's going to be some time before we do see what will be rain tyres arriving and rain conditions arriving by the sounds of things for the touring car racing class machines. But in terms of sunshine, we've got 20 degrees centigrade ambient temperature, 34 degrees centigrade track temperature. We've got relatively cool conditions here in Spain. This circuit is more known for seeing ambient temperatures upwards of 30 degrees centigrade and track temperatures normally soaring all the way up to 50 degrees. So for our Landra drivers right now, they're going to be grateful, I think, that we are seeing cooler temperatures here, and that's going to mean they stay in the hunt when it comes to tyre life towards the end of our races. Normally, as soon as we see the thermometer hit above 40 degrees centigrade, the Elantra drivers start to a huge penalty on tyre wear, particularly in the final third of each and every race, and even in qualifying, and well, they'll have that off their minds for the time being. But as we put the weather away, and our drivers continue to push on here today. Well, Kieran Sharp moves up to P3, the Sim Racing Collective driver, in a bit of a lonely position out of the circuit, as meanwhile Wojciech Swirydowicz takes provisional pole. It's a 2:10.923, and well, it's late in the day in the session, but to be fair, that's exactly when you want to do it now. He'll put the pressure on McCluskey to respond. Alex Meredith, we saw pulling off racing line for a brief moment. The NXTGEN driver has gone P3. That is prime provisional pole there, and what a lap. Only 1.5 tenths off of the overall pole time. Can he hold on to that second row of the grid? If so, that'll be his highest qualifying performance in his NXTCC career, let alone this season, and that Elantra is looking to be absolutely brilliant. We've got plenty of car variety inside the top 5. We've got both types of Hyundai, where it's the Veloster or the Elantra N. We've also got the Audi RS3, and we have got the Honda Civic Type R. And well, as we come towards the end of seeing our drivers make their way around in qualifying, we do jump on board with the Elantra of Kieran Smart to see if we can get an onboard lap here from the Track Scotland driver. Making his way down to turn 1, breaking 100 metres board down to third gear, taking plenty of apex curve as he applies the throttle and immediately turns in for 2. Now in the understeer, push the car out naturally to the outside on the entry into 3, up into 4th gear, holding the throttle nice and steady as he makes way for the right-hander, and now up the rise and in towards turns 4 and 5. Onto the brakes, he'll go going into turn number 5, going all the way down to 2nd gear as he gets it nice and tight to the apex for the exit. Bring the car over to the left-hand side very shortly to open up 6 and straight line his run into the curved braking zone of turn number 7. breaking 100 meters of corner apex, as denoted by the white line. Makes his way through in third, getting out of the corner he goes, making sure not to hit the tyre barrier. And as he heads down towards turns 8 to 9 here, braking nice and early. It's a downhill braking zone, coming down smoothly to second gear, right into left, and open up the left-hander turn of line, looking to get back on the throttle as soon as possible in order to storm his way in towards Marc Marquez corner at turn number 10. Now through the left-hander after the legendary MotoGP driver, and as he makes his way out of the left-hander, now onto the first of the back stretches through turn 11 in towards 12, up to 5th gear, and as he gets ready to break into turn 12, going over a rise, now down into a 4, down to 3rd gear he goes, and bringing the car over to the left-hand side to open up turn at number 13. Full throttle as he makes his way through the right-hander. He's got plenty of track width to play with as he uses the entry curbing here to open up turn 14, the medium speed chicane. 2nd gear as he now brings the car to the right-hand side to open up turn 15 in quick fashion. Next in he goes, and as he does so, flat out now down the back straight, and off camera whilst we're on board with this lap, Luciano Witvoet's taking provisional pole at 2:10.810. It's a phenomenal lap from the Dave Veloster drive for World of Racing. Is it going to be enough to dethrone Swirydowicz from pole? We'll have to wait and see. The Smart makes his way down towards the braking zone for turn at number 16, and as he does so, waiting for his brake marker, 150 meters of corner apex, car rejoining the racing line there, and it's not going to impede him. That looks to be always Kevin Smith from Brano Motorsport, who's aware of what's behind and will time it absolutely perfectly, and Smart's going to be great where he gets a bit of an extra toe from 2 Velosters as he makes his way through the kinks of 17 and 18. Flat out to line he goes. What's it going to be from Smart? He improved in sector 1, but not in sectors 2 and 3, and as he crosses the timeline, Smart in the end will go P17. It's a good end to his qualifying lap and moves him up into P9 in the Prime class, but as that 2:11.760 is registered. Meanwhile, we can see at Luciano Witvoet for that pole time, and we've only got 30 seconds to go, and we should point out, ladies and gentlemen, that Shane Piggott is not out on the circuit in this qualifying session due to a qualifying ban picked up from Long Beach, and therefore he'll be starting from the back of the field. And I do believe as well we're going to be seeing what will be at back of the field starts for Ian Manners, also Costa Chatsconsantu and Jack Southfield, albeit not for penalties. I believe they might be having issues either with regards to getting a good qualifying lap in or technical issues with the car, as we say hello to Costa there in the YouTube chat, and perhaps he can give us a little bit of insight as to how his qualifying session has gone. But meanwhile, Luciano Witvoet holding that time. Wojciech Swirydowicz meanwhile is trying to respond. He's got purple in sector 1, and as he does so, the checker flag comes out in this qualifying session. Most of our drives are on a final lap right now. Indeed, you'd have to look for a very limited number of drives if you want to find somebody who's not on a lap here. They've all left it to the very last in this qualifying session, with the track's fully rubbered in, and track temperature's also in a bit of a high. But as Swirydowicz makes his way through turn 17 very shortly, following it after McCluskey, who seems to have the better exit out of 16 by looks of things. But then again, looks can be deceiving. But McCluskey's going to be the first one to set a time. He's currently P3. Can he improve from P3? Get himself back on the front row of the grid? No, he can't. Swirydowicz across the line. He improves, but it's not enough. He's down by 200 on the 2:10.828. Could this be Witvoet's first ever pole? We'll have to wait and see. That is this season, having picked up a pole position in season 5, I do believe. But as Delwyn makes his way out of turn 17, one more drivers will be keen to try and find a response. Wayne Douglas down in P25. He's about across the line as Lee Horn off camera's gone P11 or 2:11.506. Meanwhile, that is going to be always Adam Delwyn pulling off racing line and bringing the car to a gradual halt. Mikey Doe across the line, currently P13. Can he improve from being outside the top 10? No, he can't. Patrick Falconer has gone P8 or 2:11.460 for the JW Motorsport drive. Matthew Sheraton moves up to P13, drops to P14 as Nick Clemens launches his way into P12, and Mark Sykes in the rear of the picture. He's been able to snatch back what is pole position from Harley Bicknell just for the time being, but Bicknell is out there on an improving lap, or is he? No, he's into the pit lane, so Bicknell's not going to improve, so I think it's going to go the way of Sykes in the AM class pole position battle. We've still got a couple more drives out there, as meanwhile Akram Zanoum goes P21, and we're good at late lap there from the organisation driver at 2:11.835, and we'll hear Piotr Jegowski right now on a lap, and he's going to be one of the last drivers to finish off their qualifying laps, as we've also got Roy Plummer out there. He's heading towards the line, as he makes way towards the pit lane, knowing he's not going to improve, I suspect, and therefore he'll be starting P47. Last of our drivers who've got a valid lap time on the board out of what is our 51 drivers in it. In fact, yes, it is 51 drivers at the 10th day. Well, we're not going to mistake ourselves twice there, and what a qualifying session, ladies and gentlemen. But with all of that, it is Luciano Witvoet who has taken an overall pole for the first time this season by 200ths over championship leader Wojciech Swirydowicz, and it is a further 1.5 tenths to Benjamin McCluskey, where you have a further attempt to prime pole sitter Alex Meredith, who will be starting at P4 on the overall grid in his best qualifying points of the season. Ben Altrier, his closest prime rival, start P7 on the overall grid, with Sam Smith taking P10, the third of the primes, and then in the battle for left-hand pole. Mark Sykes has struck a blow by 6 thousandths over close championship rival Harley Bicknell, and it could not have been closer between the pair. There's no doubt about it. But all drivers have completed their qualifying laps. They're now on cool-down laps or are already in the pits, and therefore we've only got about a minute or so before we start to make our way to the grid for our first race of the day. But all drivers absolutely set and itching to go racing now, and well, as they do so, it definitely is going to be a challenging day of racing, and well, a good qualifying lap could go very far. We'll have to wait to see how far it will take them in the run to turn number 1. But as Sykes makes his way on down, he'll know that Bicknell, starting with him on the 15th row of the grid, will be very eager to use the less weight in his Elantra to get ahead into turn 1. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, it's now time to head to the grid for our first race of the day, and this is how they'll line up. So for our opener in round 5 of the NXTCC Season 6, it is the Dutchman of Luciano Witvoet who has taken pole position there for World of Racing, joined on the front row by Semper Racing's Wojciech Swirydowicz. On row at number 2, it is going to be Next Gen Pink's Benjamin McCluskey, who is joined by Alex Meredith, the Next Gen driver starting at P4 there and Pro-Am pole sitter. Kieran Sharp starts P5 of the Sim Racing Collective ahead of Adam Delmont for SRO and Next Gen Gold, and then we do have Full Tilt V Motorsports Ben Altrier starting P7 at second place Pro-Am ahead of Patrick Falconer for JW Motorsport in his best qualifying performance of the season. Gavin Garner starts P9 for Next Gen Pink, continue to stay at the bottom end of the top 10 and continue to put the pressure on his rivals, with Sam Smith third place in the Pro-Am class on the grid starting P10 for iRacing Esports, a season at best qualifying performance. Reese Watt starts P11 best rest of JW Motorsport ahead of Nick Clemens for iRacing Esports, and then we have starting on the 7th row of the grid Lee Horn for Next Gen and Aztec Racing's Matthew Sheraton. Mikey Dole starts P15 for Double Sim Racing ahead of Daniel Downing for Goldwing Motorsport, with Matthew Addy P17 for Next Gen ahead of Andrew Pike for the Sim Racing Collective P18. And then we have Kieran Smart who starts P19 for Track Scotland ahead of Joe Zudoa, who qualifies out of position starting P20 much further down the grid than I think he anticipated for Double Sim Racing. Outside the top 20, it is P21 Akram Zanun on his return to the grid for the organisation ahead of Russell Fowler for Performance Lane Esports. And then we have Luke Jones P23 for JW Motorsport ahead of Jack Jeffries for Red Grove Projects, who didn't quite put it together today in qualifying. We're on the 12th row of the grid. The 13th row will be occupied by the pair of Slavomir Jarvosky for Semper Racing and the Briton of Wayne Douglas for Next Gen Pink, with Stuart Wyness P27 for Track Scotland ahead of Isaac Doble for Doble Sim Racing. And it's Mark Sykes who starts P29 your AM pole sitter for Next Gen ahead of JW Motorsports Harley Bicknell, who wraps up the top 30, and with it is your second place AM starter. Keep your eyes out for fireworks between them into turn 1. Jamie Dory starts P31 for Next Gen Pink ahead of Adam McNally, your Pro-Am Championship leader for SRO and Next Gen Gold, having a disastrous qualifying session starting all the way down the order. And then we do have Sam Van Ol's P33 for Goldwing Motorsport ahead of Mark Kemp for Full Tilt V Motorsport. Marcel Fritsch starts P35 for WS Racing Esports ahead of Mitchell West for Mitch West Performance. And then we have on row number 19 the pair of Daniel Fritz for Whiskey Runner Racing and Alan McCain for iRacing Esports, with James Masasgal P39 for Aztec Racing ahead of Ace of Spades Racing Darren Ills. And then on row number 21 is Piotr Jegoslewski for Semper Racing ahead of Matt Emmons for Rano Motorsport, with Jonathan Collins starting P43 for Whiskey Runners Racing ahead of Rano Motorsport's Kevin Smith P44. And on row 23 it's Craig Tillison for Fusion Racing and Gabriel Yilmaz for Aztec Racing. We last tried to get a qualifying lap on the board being Roy Plummer, who starts P47 for Next Gen ahead of Jack Southfield for the Sim Racing Collective. And on the final complete row of the grid it'll be Ian Manners for JW Motorsport and Shane Piggott for Ace of Spades Racing. And then last but not least, starting P51, it will be 287 Motorsports Costa Chats Continental, who's got it all to do from the back of the grid. Well, the grid is set, ladies and gentlemen, and as all of our drivers sit in position, well, we've been informed that we've only got about 15 seconds before the lights go on, and it's time for us to go racing for the first time today. And well, it's an absolutely packed grid. But on the front row, it is Luciano Witvoet versus Wojciech Swirydowicz, two titans. One of them is your championship leader. The other one is the driver who's finding his form and finding his first wins this season. But between them, who will be leading out to turn 1? The lights go on. We're about to find out MotorLand Aragón, as it's going to be 1 red light, 2 red lights, 3 red lights, 4 red lights, 5 red lights. And it's lights out, and away we go for the first race of the day, as Witvoet looks to get a good start, but Wojciech Swirydowicz had an even stronger start as the Audi roars its way into lead into turn 1. McCluskey looks around the outside as they head into the braking zone, but our leaders make the way through, and as they do, everyone now Constantinos for the opening quarter, safe by so far for the top 20 as they all make the way on into turn number 2. As we continue to look further back down the order, looks like all the drivers have safely made it. A little bit of love taps there between drivers, including Mitchell West running a bit wider out of turn number 2 in towards 3, but looks like everyone one safely made it on through as they make the way up the hill in towards turns 4 and 5. But as they do, Daniel Downing already losing some ground here to Wes Matthew, and he's trying to battle him around the outside into turn 5, but Downing being obstinate and fighting his way back through. But one of the earliest losers so far in the racing is Ben Altruis, dropped to P8 for full tilt beam motorsport. He's under increasing pressure from Sam Smith, who's had a phenomenal start, moving up into P9 and fighting for P8 as they make their way down in towards the Spanish corkscrew for the first time of asking. Now it's going to be about who's going to be boldest on the brakes. Will anybody dare to go too wide on cold tyres of brakes? Daniel Downing and Matthew Addy are going to contest that situation. They pull it off, and Downing still defending versus Addy, but Akram Zanu is close behind as they make the way down through turn 10 in towards 11, and as they roar the way around, Andrew Pike as well looking to go to places, losing 3 at the start. A slow start for the Sim Racing Collective driver. He drops outside the top 20, trying to make his way back in. And meanwhile, it's almost 3 wide there. Matthew Addy being passed up the inside by Akram Zanoon into turn at number 12 as they go into left-hander contact there. That is a major shot, I do believe, between the car of which Jamie Dory and Andrew Pike. Pike being sent around. Now, was that due to hitting the curve for Jamie Dory? We're not quite sure, but that's why we have stewards and we're just in the commentary booth. But as we see Luke Jones being passed by Dory there, I think Dory will know right now. Stage of the cars, there's contact between McNally and Isaac Doble. McNally immediately letting the car back off and run wide, but it's 3-1 on corner exit as they make the way through. Contact there with what is, I do believe, the Track Scotland car that's been sent sideways. And Kieran Smart rejoins, but a bit of argy-bargy coming out of turn 15 onto the back straight, and that's not good for many a driver, as now it's all going to be about wounded cars trying to bring themselves onto another lap. But meanwhile, we've been looking further down the order. We look up to your leader as he comes towards the end of the first lap of this race. 9 laps of course, and it's Wojciech Swirydowicz who leads by 4 tenths. He goes on to lap 2. So Swirydowicz leads ahead of Witvoet, followed by McCluskey. Then it's Sharp, followed by your prime leader of Alex Meredith. And then it's Delmont ahead of Falconer, followed by Altria, who's P8, second place prime, ahead of Watt, followed by Smith. And then it's Matthew Sheraton, P11 best the rest, as Sheraton looks to fight on. But meanwhile, just behind, it's getting very intense in the battle to be inside the top 15, as this is Lee Horn and Daniel Downing squaring off the 2 primes versus Mikey Doble, as Downing made to go a little bit wide there out of 2, and as they make the way up the hill in towards turns 3, 4 and 5. Well, right now Horn being pushed along almost by Doble up the hill, and Clemens just in front, and the 2 Honda drivers here, they have not got the pace on the uphill run. The Honda's lack of engine power really demonstrates itself on the uphill run, but it's in the middle portion of the lap, that's where they'll find the lap time, where the Honda's brakes and cornering potential really comes alive, and you'll start to see it from turn 7 here onwards all the way through to turn 15. But the drivers make the way out of the aforementioned right-hander. Well, as they stand, it is going to be Doble going to knock on the door of many a driver, in fact losing some place that he gained early on back to where he started in P15. And as they make the way down through turns 8 to 9, and meanwhile Joseph Doble still trying to find a way through, but he can't, and that's the problem. He's got a prime driver in front of him, Matthew Addy, who's digging in. He's got Jack Jeffries who's trying to look for moves up his inside as we ride on board here with the Doble Sim Racing driver. And well, as number 11 car roars its way in towards turn number 12, where it's battle with Veloster on Veloster and Elantra behind, and then equal machinery. It will come down to the weight that's in the cars from Success Bias and the drivers in particular, and we can see Doble there closed up very quickly indeed through turn 12 into 13, but he's too close to be able to look for a move, and this is not where you go for the pass. It's going out of 15 onto the back straight. That's where you've got to get the line set up. As he comes through the corner, car going a bit deep in fact, and it looks like Jack Jeffries on his inside as they make the way out to 15. Now, was there a little bit of contact that set off the move? We're not quite sure, but as they make the way down the back straight, one thing we do know for certain is that Jeffries is on the inside and starting to pull ahead. Once he doesn't have the toe of a car, that Elantra, it's got the 5th and 6th gear to beat the Veloster, and the Veloster staying alive in the toe right now as they head on down. Meanwhile, behind Wayne Douglas looking to get involved as they head on to the brakes, but it's going to be a move around the outside from Joseph Doble to try and hold on to this. Jeffries keeps his nose in. There's a bit of netcode contact between the 2 cars there, a very sharp bit of netcode contact. It looks like they're clearing for each other on our broadcast cameras as they make the way up the rise. They want to repeat that in the hurry as they come through, and Wayne Douglas also squeezes his way through into turn 18. But meanwhile, at the front of the field, ladies and gentlemen, it's 2 wide into turn 1, and it's Luciano Witvoet who's on the attack versus Swirydowicz, your race leader, who took the lead in the run to turn 1, and now it's going to be about Witvoet trying to take his first overall win in the first race of a given day. But as they make the way in towards turn number 5, well, right now, having only 1 overall win to his name, it will be Witvoet who would love to make it too, given the fact he took an overall win at Long Beach. But as we ride on board and look back from the rear of your race leader, number 8, Wojciech Swirydowicz, well, the Semper Racing driver, he's not just fast, he's also very smart on the defence, and that's what makes him such a rounded package and why he is currently the championship favourite to go on to take his first title this season. But as they make their way down to the braking zone for turn number 8, that's going to be what will be Witvoet on his inside, but onto the outside it's turn 9. Swirydowicz could just drag his brakes out this corner now. now. And well, he's got to go back to the bottom at some point, but the point being, he can really just stall the progress out of the corner for both of them and bring them into what is contention with Benjamin McCluskey, who's not too far behind. You can see already how the top 7 is now starting to move closer and closer together, given the fact the leaders are battling each other quite hard, and that can only work in the favour of your lead driver if he times this right. But as they make the way on through in towards turns at 12 and 13, will mean, while we look back to your AM leader here, Mark Sykes, he's been able to hold on to lead since the start. Harley Bignell has moved up as well, but Sykes up into P26, Bignell into P29. And we're just in front of it. It's getting very tasty there between Russell Fowler, Luke Jones and Sam Van Olst. And what is the 3 prime drivers all fighting for the P11 spot in the class. And remembering that class points, of course, distributed down to 15th place in each class on the grid, excluding the pros. And well, meanwhile, as we look to Jamie Dory battling with what is their Slavomir Javosky. And Javosky, I think, in a car that's absolutely hooked up right now. And that Elantra keeping the next gen pink Audi behind. And we do believe that Dory is running with quite a bit of damage on the front end of the car. And well, as they make the way on down, Luciano Witvoet still battling for the lead this race, making a move into the hairpin as we understand it for the lead as they come on through to go on to another lap, going on to lap number 4 shortly. We will get a replay of exactly what happened there in due course, ladies and gentlemen. So we'd like to see how the move for the lead was made, and well, of course, you guys and girls at home would love to do so as well. And the Dutchman leads, he goes on to lap 4 and just in time as well, because we've got a replay of how he made it happen. So looking to the inside, they're down to the turn 16 hairpin, swinging the car out, and to be fair, Swirydowicz squeezed him, but not too much, giving him the legally required amount of space, and we're in the end, Witvoet having the better traction out of 16 to 17, and getting the move done in a brilliant form. And as they make the way on down through turn number 5, in towards 6-7 they go, with the number 60 driver here still trying to hold on, but knowing that right now he may have got ahead, but this race is not over, and there is a long way to go. We're not even halfway through it, but it's been brilliant battling action between them thus far, as meanwhile Sam Smith battling with Matthew Cheverton, and this is for 4th place in the prime class, P10 overall, and Smith almost being passed there around the outside into turn 7 by Cheverton. Cheverton absolutely taking the gloves off right now, throwing everything at this, and well, as he tries to make a move there, and it's a move to defend for Cheverton because Gavin Gardner's getting closer and closer. Smith right now looking at his rearview mirrors and thinking, what do I need to do in order to force Cheverton away? And well, the thing he's got to do here is try to get Gardner into the mix and be able to use that as an opportunity to pull away. We can see Cheverton flashing the lights there, trying to use the Morse code signals of distracting in order to be able to make a move at Smith, but Smith not to be perturbed. As being well off camera, we've had an instant for Mark Sykes that's dropped him out of the lead of the YAM class. A huge incident as he's rejoined. That's on the exit of turns 9 and 10. And well, the next gen driver in a damaged car, you can see it there from the camera's perspective, the left hand side of the car, but from the driver's perspective, the right hand side, the front right wheel arch has been completely collapsed in on the car. What exactly has happened to your AM leader? Well, we have a replay to explain the story, and here it is, ladies and gentlemen. Goes deep out 9 and hits the tyre barrier, and well, that's what happens when you hit those tyre barriers. They are unforgiving, unrelenting, and the Englishman going all the way out, and that is a car that I think will need to come to the pits. And just a little bit too much throttle there, coming out of turn at number 9, catching your AM Championship leader out. But remember, it's one of 3 races today, so there's plenty of opportunities. But it means Harley Bignell takes your AM lead in P27 off camera. But as we return to your live racing pictures, ladies and gentlemen, it's Nick Clemens who's fighting with Gavin Gardner. He's got it ahead into turn 8, into turn 16, into the hairpin, and the pro driver being made to sit behind the prime driver as they make the way into another lap. But meanwhile, new fastest lap, Adam Delmont, P6 driver, a 2:11, being set at 2:11.2 to nearest 10th. And well, the drivers make the way on through now to the midpoint of the race. Well, there's plenty more distance here, but now those who have not been able to make moves early on, they'll be thinking about doing them as soon as possible, because time is now gradually beginning to trickle away. And well, as Clemens looks to go hunting after Smith, bringing Gardner with him. Meanwhile, Jack Jeffries and Joseph Dell still fighting over P20, with Daniel Downey just in front of them. And well, the 2 Elantra drivers trying to keep the velocity at bay in this trio, and they've got Wayne Douglas sat only 1.2 seconds just up the road. And well, speaking of just up the road, this is Mikey Dowell looking up the inside of Matthew Addy for P16, and it looks as though Dowell's got it done, but he's only going to defense here into turn number 8, and knows that Addy is unrelenting in this regard, in the fact that he wants to place back, but in the end, Addy does have to give it up. 9-2 does not go into 1, it's turns 8 to 9, and well, the 777 driver relinquishes the position, and Mikey Dowell returns to P16. But as they make the way on through, meanwhile we look back to your top 7, and this is Kieran Sharp. We're focused on the Sim Racing Collective driver, who right now has prime leader Alex Meredith right behind, but we ride aboard and look over the top of the 199 Honda Civic Type R, the leading Honda out there on this grid. We had Adam Delman in the second place, one in P6, and well, as the Sim Racing Collective driver looks to try and find a way onto the overall podium, we know that Witvoet, Swirydowicz and McCluskey, they've all got their own strengths and weaknesses, and all seem to be stronger than one another at certain points of the circuit. But Sharp right now doing very well to stay in this fight, but keep in mind that he's got Meredith close behind. Meredith 1.5 tenths behind. As we do look to the exterior cameras, you can see Meredith pulling really far into the racing line, really opening up turn number 16, goes for a lunge under brake in there, and well, that is a late move being made for Alex Meredith, but I think throwing a feint, which was he pulled so far onto what was the entry curve, as if to say to Kieran Sharp, look, I'm not going for this move in 100 years, and then suddenly switch it to the inside. It's a legal tactic, so long as you get it right, and we're almost getting it right, but Sharp just able to use the Honda's cornering capabilities in order to be able to hold on. But I do see a question there from John O'Cook in the YouTube chat, which is what happened to Russell Fowler, and well, we'll try and get you a replay of what's happened to Russell Fowler, or at least where he is on the grid very shortly, ladies and gentlemen. And well, as our drivers make the way on through here, look at the leader still, and it does look as though now Witvoet is starting to establish a degree of control. But meanwhile, Russell Fowler, here he is from Performance Esports, currently P22 in the 61 Audi, and well, he's made one place in class since the start of the race, but he's still at P22, which is where he started overall, and he is chased after Daniel Downing for the final top 10 spot in the prime class. But Downing in a bit of a back and forth battle with Joseph Doble, and Fowler's going to try and come on through here, looking for the move into turn number 5, and well, Doble going around the outside to defend, gets the inside into turn 7, and Fowler really having to work the yardage here in order to try and make a move happen. Meanwhile, off camera, Alex Meredith and Adam Delman battling Doble and Downing. You can see they're fighting in front, and Joseph Doble up the inside to turn 7, and really going late on the brakes, using the velocity's all-round nature in order to get ahead. And Fowler looking for the move down Downing. Down here, it's going to be contact, and that is contact between Downing and what it shows is Doble. Doble turns to the side, but they're able to escape the instant, all the drivers. Doble has to take the inside of the road in order to rejoin, and will now Russell Fowler prime opportunity. But look at Luke Jones. Jones sees the doors open. He takes one. He takes two. Can Jones hold on to this? The Welshman right now absolutely the perfect opportunist as they make the way down for 11 to 12, but you'll notice this is where the Elantra will start to build up a bit of an overspeed into 12, but Jones is still there, nose on the inside into the left-hander. He'll be into the right-hander now at turn number 13, and well, Downing is not backing out. He's absolutely glued to this position. It's Daniel Downing. He does not want to fall outside the prime top 10, and as they make the way through the right into left here, this is causing everybody behind to queue up, and Jones having to back off there just in the nick of time, nipping in the bud at the apex at turn 15, and as they make the way on down the back straight now, it's going to be a drag race, but it's not going to be one that Jones would like. He's going to have Russell Fowler, who's going to reach closer and closer with Slavomir Jovovsky and Sam Van Olst also in the mix, and Jamie Dory, and then AM leader Harley Bicknell not too far off. But here comes Fowler looking up the inside, and the Performance Esports driver going all in here on the brakes, and well, the Audi able to stop just as well as the Veloster, but in the end it is going to be Jones, who goes very deep under braking. Fowler on the inside and sneaks on through for P21 at P11 in the prime class. More races to come with Benjamin McCluskey setting a new fastest lap overall. The race at 2 minute 10.9. The first 2:10 we've seen all day, a 2 minute 10.92 to the nearest 100th, I do believe. And well, as our drivers press on, meanwhile, a bit further down the order, let's not forget Daniel Fritz in the AM class and Kevin Smith, and also Shane Piggott, as Fritz right now holding on to the third place spot in the AM class, with Smith being 5 tenths behind. And as they make the one to lap number 7, these two in an intriguing little battle for the final spot on the AM podium, and we'll even further down the order as they make the way through the left-hander at turn number 1, with Smith missing his apex, then going quite deep. We do have Piotr Jegoslewski, who right now the Semper Race join the races as always. P40 are battling with Darren Ills and Craig Tillerson, and Tillerson at P7 in the AM class, P41 looking to try and find his way up to P39, and Darren Ills is his target to gain another AM position. As they make the way up the right, Jegoslewski looking around the outside, it's turn number 3. That's going to be bold from the Polish driver, but if anyone can make it happen, he can. And onto the brakes he goes. It's turn 4. He's going to be too wide. You can see Ills giving plenty of space, and when you end under pressure from what is Smith as they make the way through the left-hander, but Jegoslewski gets it done for now. But now it's going to be Tillerson who's looking for the move as they make the way into braking. Ills down the outside, too wide they go. Tillerson's going to go for the move, and as the Fusion Racing driver gets it hooked up, it's going to be Ills who looks for the cutback, but he can't quite find behind. It's a lovely move from Craig Tillerson, and that moves up into P6 in the AM class. As meanwhile, Ills behind just has to go a bit deep there to turn 8, and that's going to cost him even more time. But Tillerson does the same into turn 9. So both drivers here driving literally on the edge of their capabilities, and it's wonderful to see. But meanwhile, whilst all this is playing out, we look back up towards your leaders. We've got from the back of the field towards the front of the field, and while there's been a shunt for Akram Zanoun off camera, we'll try and get a replay of that when we can. But meanwhile, Wojciech Swirydowicz still P2 behind Luciano Witvoet. But you'll notice how the race leader is gradually pulling off into the distance. 1.1 seconds is now the delta, and it is Swirydowicz who's under increasing pressure from Benjamin McCluskey, who wants to try and find a way to move into that P2 spot and just give himself an opportunity to steal some more points in the championship. But behind them, Kieran Sharp still P4, a lonely P4, but it's McCluskey who's on the offensive as we ride on board with the Britain from Next Gen Pink as he makes his way up through turn number 2 up towards 3. And we also keeping our eyes on the fact there's a battle for P2 in the prime class going on between Rescheduled and Ben Ultria. More on that in due course, ladies and gentlemen, as our drivers make the way out the hill in towards turn number 5. And McCluskey right now falling back to a degree, but I think we'll be looking for another overtaking opportunity sooner rather than later. But speaking of Ultria, here he is battling with Rescheduled as the two fight for P2 in the prime class. And keeping in mind that Alex Meredith is only 1.5 seconds up the road from this penultimate lap of race while the day. But Ultria on the outside now to turn 7, and what digging in deep, absolutely positioned himself as best as possible. He got ahead into turn 1 as we understand it, and Ultria now trying to counter-attack, albeit won't be able to do so right now, or Willie, as he's going to have to go around the outside of 8 to get into the inside of 9. And what defends into 8, but Ultria's there all the way around the outside, has to stop it on a dime into 9 and does exactly that. And Ben Ultria retakes P8 overall and P2 in the prime class. And the Ultria, what battle, an absolutely brilliant battle here. I think Meredith, so long as he doesn't make any errors, commentator's curse and not being cast on him, of course. Well, right now, these two drivers are going to be fighting each other more and more for P2. I think they think they're battling for the win of the prime class, only they'll notice Alex Meredith is just in front of them and then suddenly realise, no, you're battling for P2. But either way, they're treating us an absolutely thrilling fight, and as they make their way out turn 13 to 14, when we ride aboard, look back from the rear of the 504 Elantra as he opts to ride into left through turns 14 and 15, and as he does so, with the Englishman right now running a little bit wide there on to the gravel trap and putting two wheels there. It doesn't cost you too much in these front engine front wheel drive cars, but it does cost you some traction, and that's what will be capitalising on here as the Audi starts to build up its overspeed as they make their way halfway down the 1 kilometre back stretch. And here we go, Ultria pulls to the middle of the road. What's going to look all the way around the outside to try and go for the move as they head on to the anchors, and as they come into the turn 16 hairpin, Ultria parks it nicely on apex. Watt tries to cut back, but he can't do so. Ultria's there to cover him off. They stay as they were, but as they do, meanwhile, race leader Luciano Witvoet goes on to lead the final lap. White flags are waving. Can he hold on with Swirydowicz and McCluskey 7 tenths behind? I think Witvoet might be struggling a little bit because on that last lap he lost 4 tenths to the drivers behind. Swirydowicz and McCluskey are coming alive. There's a little bit of traffic in front as well that may have a factor to play here before this race is over. That's Plummer and Zanoun in front, battling for P48, and will two drivers have misfortunate races so far? Well, they'll be hoping for a bit more fortune in the next race of the day, but blue flags will be waving, and I get the feeling that'll be on their minds. You can see here, two wide between them. Witvoet flashes lights immediately. He doesn't want to see two wide traffic in front of him, and as they make their way to turn number 7, what in the end, all the drivers in front are going to part the seas, albeit for Swirydowicz. In the end, a little bit impeded there by Plummer. I think Plummer not recognising how quickly the second racing drivers coming up behind, and now it's going to be McCluskey who's right there, and it buys Witvoet plenty more time to work with as they make their way down through turns 8 and 9. Meanwhile, from them, we do look to Patrick Falconer, who's moved up into P6 in all the racing so far, and the JW Motorsport driver coming on through turn number 10, chasing after Adam Delta for the P5 spot, with Alex Meredith close behind, but I don't think Meredith's going to try and look for the move here, given the Delta, and also the fact he's got a bigger item on his agenda, and that is the prime win. We can see Adam Delta there flash his headlights to try and send a message towards Zanoun and Plummer, which is to steer clear. Well, Zanoun parks the car up there on the run in towards turn number 12, and in fact toes to the pits. I think recognising perhaps that the car's not going to be finishing very well in this first race today, and we'll save it all to race number 2. It doesn't really the way of the championship battle, but either way, as the drivers make the way on down, we're behind Rescheduled and Ben Ultria still fighting, but it's Ultria ahead of Watt as they battle for P2 in the prime class, P8 overall, and as they head on down the back straight, you can see the long line of cars behind Matthew Sheraton leading that traffic jam of cars in the fight for the final top 10 spot. But as they all head on down into the braking zone, meanwhile we look to your race leader with Swirydowicz and McCluskey just not quite close enough to put enough pressure on. McCluskey's there, looking to try and find a move, but I don't think he's going to find it on Swirydowicz, ladies and gentlemen. And Norris Swirydowicz going to find it on this man, because after losing the lead on that one, he took it back only a few laps later, and after taking his first over win at Long Beach last round, he adds another one to the tally. Luciano Witvoet for World of Racing is your overall winner in the first race of the day, ahead of Wojciech Swirydowicz and Benjamin McCluskey. Kieran Sharp, Adam Delman wrap up your top 5. Patrick Falcon at P6. Alex Meredith returns to the top step of the prime podium with P7 overall. Ahead of Ben Altria and Rescheduled who complete your prime podium. Matthew Sheraton completes your top 10. P4 in the prime class ahead of Sam Smith with Gavin Gardner, Nick Clemens, Leon and Mikey Doe will complete your top 15. Wayne Douglas P16 there. We've still got more drivers to cover for, including Harley Bicknell, who takes the first and win of the day in the 99 for JW Motorsport in a solid P25 overall, with Matt Emmons making it another Verano Motorsport AM podium. P2 in the class for Verano Motorsport, P31 overall, and it'll be Daniel Fritz who holds on the end to take the final spot on the AM podium for Whiskey Runner Racing, and I believe the team's third podium of the season ahead of Kevin Smith and James Smazersgal, with Fritz P35 overall ahead of the pair. And well, Craig Tillerson in the end will come home to take P41, but more importantly for him, his best AM result of the season, P6 in class, and battle with Darren Ills the majority of the race and find his way through for Fusion Racing. And well, ladies and gentlemen, what a race, and we've still got a couple of drives to finish. In fact, one more drive needs to make it to the checker flag. He is on the lead lap, and well, Mark Sykes, who was leading in the early stages of the AM class race, only to make that terrible mistake into turn number 9 that saw him make haste towards the tyre barrier, and well, in the end he will be taking P47, the next gen driver in the 666 machine. But no, there's still 2 more races to go, and he'll pick up some points still for P10 in the AM class, with Roy Palmer, Akram Zanoon, Mark Kent and Costa Chatskonstantinou finishing 1 or more laps down. But what a race, ladies and gentlemen. And well, for this man, for Luciano Witvoet, he's going to be absolutely ecstatic, the World of Racing driver, to be able to take that lead back and then run with it as Benjamin McCluskey pulls alongside to congratulate his rival there on what is his second ever NXTCC overall win. And well, Wojciech Swirydowicz in finishing P2, not too far behind, and McCluskey giving it everything. And there is your top 3, ladies and gentlemen, all in the line of stern, as we do see Ben Altria taking a bit more of a detour to come into the pits off camera. But as I drive all come on down, well, Alex Meredith in the end taking the pro and win, and never looking back after that prime pole position. Well, we're having to every sort of some pressure coming up from the pros behind, but in the end Altria and Watt fighting more and more intensely over the P2 in class. But to be fair, a brilliant battle between them, and Altria already in the pits getting ready for the second race of the day, and the same for Watt. And I expect there's going to be plenty more sparks between them when we go lights out, and away we go in our second race of the day, given they're going to be starting together, and Meredith will be at the front of that prime class just in front of them. It could be very tasty down into turn 1 if you're a pro and fan. But as all our drivers make the way in to the pit lane, ladies and gentlemen, Harley Bicknell there, your AM winner, doing the same, and continuing his accolade of being the AM driver, the most AM wins this season so far, and his back and forth exchange with what is Mark Sykes. All the drivers coming on into the pits, and we take a look at the scenic view to take you through those race results subject to any stewards' inquiries, and here they are. So after a fantastic 9 laps of racing in our first race of the day in round 5 of the NXTCC Season 6, powered by IMB Racewear and brought to you on iRacing, World of Racing's Luciano Witvoet takes his second ever overall win, the Dutchman there, adding to his win from Long Beach by 8 attempts over Semper Racing's Wojciech Swirydowicz. Benjamin McCluskey, meanwhile, P3 for Next Gen at Pink, in the end 4 attempts behind and couldn't quite make the move for P2, and that's your overall pro podium ahead of Kieran Sharp, the Sim Racing Collective driver, who didn't have the pace of the top 3, but he had enough pace to take P4 ahead of Adam Delman, with Patrick Falconer moving rapidly into P6 and finishing there for JW Motorsport. Alex Meredith, your pro and winner, P7 for Next Gen by 2 attempts in the end, in fact 2 seconds we should say in the end, over Ben Altria, with a full tilt B Motorsport driver run up in the prime class, had a 3rd place class finisher and 9th place overall finisher Reese Watt from JW Motorsport, who completes your prime podium of Meredith, Altria and Watt. And then Matthew Sheraton completing your overall top 10 there for Aztec Racing, head of a long line of cars that all wanted to finish inside the top 10, but he stopped them, included Sam Smith for iRacing Esports, Gavin Gardner for Next Gen Pig, Nick Clemens for iRacing Esports, Lee Horn for Next Gen, and Mikey Doble for Doble Sim Racing. And to add to that as well, also 4 attempts off of the long line of cars, Wayne Douglas there, P16, head of Matthew Addy, who found some places towards the end of the race and was able to hold off Jack Jeffries, who took P18 in the end for Redgrove Projects. To complete your top 20, it was Daniel Downing and Russell Fowler, with JW Motorsport's Luke Jones just finishing 2 tenths behind, and then Sam Van Ol's P22 for Goldwyn Motorsport not quite on the pace in the first race of the day, but still able to hold off Slavomir Javoski to line, with the Semper Racing driver ahead of Jamie Dory and Harley Bicknell. And a special mention to Harley Bicknell, of course, your AM winner for JW Motorsport. P26 was Alan McCain ahead of Marcel Fritsch, with what was Joseph Doble at P28, and then completing your top 30, Adam McNally and Andrew Pike with your Pro-Am Championship leader. Adam McNally struggling in this first race of the day after the difficulties of qualifying. The SL with Next Gen Gold Drive definitely showing a weakness in his armour today. And just outside the top 30, P31, your runner-up in the AM class, Matt Emmons for Verano Motorsport, ahead of Shane Piggott, Ian Manners and Mitchell West, and then Daniel Fritsch, your third and final podium finisher for the AM class for Whiskey on iRacing, completing an AM podium of Bicknell, Emmons and Fritz. Kevin Smith, P36, Verano Motorsport, not quite able to make it a double podium for Verano Motorsport, but coming close, ahead of James Mazesgal. And then Stuart Winnes, after an early incident, being pushed down to P38, but recovering up to that position over the course of the racing. And then to complete your top 40, it was none other than Piotr Jegosławski and Kieran Smart. Craig Tillotson, P41, ahead of Darren Hills, with Isaac Dobert, Jack Salford and Jonathan Collins completing your top 45. And then it was Mark Sykes and Gabriel Yilmaz, your last lead lap finishers, with the following drivers finishing a lap down and classified as finishers: Roy Plummer at Cramsanoon, and having completed half the race distance, Mark Kent, P50, 3 laps down, will be classified as finisher, and a non-finisher as he did not complete over half the race distance, Costa Chatscontinental, 5 laps down. But that was race number 1 of the day, ladies and gentlemen, and we've got race number 2 coming up very shortly. But before we do get to race number 2, we're going to be hearing a quick word from our title sponsor for this season, IMB Racewear, and then we're going to be hearing a word from our new sponsor at NXTGEN Racing, and we're going to be hearing from the head of Falconer PC Builds and Support, and that'll be none other than Patrick Falconer. We will be back very shortly. We'll see you very soon. And a fantastic first race of the day, ladies and gentlemen. Saw some absolutely thrilling racing between our drivers, no doubt about it. But as we do take a look back at the race start procedure, with all our drivers getting underway, and well, what a race it was. We're going to focus in particular a little bit on the racing action, which concerned one Patrick Falconer. For the simple reason, we're going to be hearing from the man himself, as we did go racing, hearing his thoughts on the racing, and also hearing about his sponsorship partnership with NXTGEN Racing at Falconer PC Builds. And well, very shortly he's going to be joining me in the interview room. In fact, he's going to be doing so very, very soon. And in fact, he does join me now, ladies and gentlemen. And as he does so, we welcome him into the interview room. And good evening to you, Patrick, or Paddy, as you know, to friends and rivals up and down the grid. And well, what a great day for yourself today to start off a P6 overall. I mean, a fantastic race number 1.
Yeah, that wasn't too bad, was it? I mean, qualifying was, I was getting a bit nervous, I must be honest. I wasn't able to set some laps, and then lucky enough, my good old friend Adam Delmont kept me some tow, and then that gave me a good lap that got me into the P8 for the grid. But yeah, that was a cracking start, really. I wasn't expecting that by any stretch.
Well, indeed, it was a cracking start, and then all the way through the race, it looked as though you had the pace to constantly nip at the heels of the top 5, but in the end, not quite able to take on Adam Delmont to the finish. Was it perhaps a bit of tyre life coming against you?
Not really. I think the tyres were definitely still much in there. To be honest with you, I was getting quite close to Delmont. I could see him making a few little mistakes here or there, but it was never enough of an overlap for me to make a move stick or put my nose into a position where it could potentially cause an incident. So it's one of those, maintain the gap behind and keep, on the back of him just in case he makes a bit of a mistake. But there was some fighting going up ahead, and lucky enough, I managed to stay clear of it and keep pushing on. So yeah, work with Delmont and then work with your teammates, with your fellow drivers, and you make up some places. So yeah.
Oh, without a doubt. And well, that logic and approach to your racing as well, really yielding you a great start today. And I have to ask, coming into this second half of the season, of course, we've had a bit of a shuffled calendar, but we're finally getting back, of course, 6 rounds in a row to wrap up the season. And MotorLand Aragón, for many, considered to be one of the toughest. Have you come into it tonight expecting it to be a tough round?
Absolutely, and up until this point, I hadn't actually driven this track, so it's one of those ones I had to download and then learn a lot. I was quite happy with the time when iRacing decided to have a bit of a meltdown and gave us a bit of a breathing space so we couldn't continue the race, but that gave me a little bit extra time to learn the track a little bit more, and it's paid dividends tonight, which has been really, really helpful for me.
Well, as I finished taking a sip of water there, perfect timing from the race, and I believe you'll probably want to grab a bit of refreshment before we go to race 2. But coming to also a major moment of celebration for yourself, and that is, of course, the sponsorship partnership between NXTGEN Racing and your company, and that being at Falconer PCs. Would you mind telling us a little bit more about your company?
Yeah, sure. I mean, firstly, I got to thank Jamie for giving me the chat about it, and it was an opportunity I couldn't really say no to. But no, so I am Falconer's PC. I'm just an independent guy with a dream of helping people with a fair price PC that can perform to whatever they need it for. I've been stung a few times with previous builders, and it frustrated me because I started to see issues where I was thought people were doing better than what they should be. So I made it my mission to correct them things, and that's my biggest ethos is to provide somebody with a high quality PC for the budget that they need to, without compromising on certain little things that people miss out on. I am a single person, with a family of 4 kids and a wife, and so it's usually me doing it on my own, but it's actually a hobby of mine to do this. So doing everything with sim racing and building PCs, it kind of made a match made in heaven. And then I got some teammates that wanted their PCs doing, and to which I've done them. And it's little bits and pieces like that throughout the sim racing community has helped me make it into a business of what it is, and not just PCs as well. I'm very much involved in the whole of the sim building extravaganza, let's call it. I have a really good working relationship with Race Anywhere and Pro Sim Rig, and I'm able to provide discounts with them as well. So everything with Falconer's PC is everything from the ground up, from the PC to the sim rig to everything. And that's what my ethos is. So sorry, I babble on. It's passion of mine. Sorry.
That's no problem at all, and I think many right now will be very happy to hear you babble on, for the simple reason in the fact that indeed, if you're new to the world of sim racing on PC or just building your own PC, it can be an absolute nightmare. Talking from my personal experience as a teenager in the past of having to find the right parts and pick the right bits, then finding the right prices and whatnot. So having experts out there to really lead the way and provide that friendly advice and also give you the access to the services you need is something which is of huge, huge value. And I do have to ask, but we do let you go and let you get ready for race number 2. If we were to want to check out your private company and whatnot, what would be the best place to check out, or perhaps even get in touch?
Well, firstly off, go to the NXTGEN Discord. I've got my own little section on there, and I am completely open doors. You can message me, private message me. I'm happy to talk, whatever. I'll even provide you with my number as well, so we could talk, individually that way. You could get through to me through Facebook. I have my own Falconer PC page on Facebook, obviously through Messenger and things like that. And as I'm starting to grow a little bit more, there will be a website coming where I will be offering standalone PCs that you could just buy off the shelf ready to go. So for now, Discord channels with NXTGEN. Private message me, and I'll be so happy to talk to you. There's no stress, no dramas, there's no obligation. I am literally cut your ear off about dogs if you have to as well. So so Facebook and Discord, that'd be great.
Well, it's been absolutely brilliant to hear from yourself, Paddy, not just with regards to the racing, but also hearing about the sponsorship opportunity between yourself and NXTGEN Racing. We'll leave you to your preparations for race number 2, but perhaps we'll catch you a little bit later on in today's racing. Until then, congratulations on the sponsorship and good luck in the remaining races of the day.
Thank you very much, Paul, and I'll speak to you soon.
So hearing there from Patrick Falconer from JW Motorsport, and hearing also about Falconer PC builds and support, and starting off as a one-man band in the world of PC building, but not just PCs, also regards to sim racing rigs and everything in between, but looking to expand as time goes on and building things from the ground up. And we heard there, if you want to get in touch with him, if you're interested about getting advice or potentially looking to start to build your own PC, we'll definitely check out Falconer PCs, and the best place to get in touch is via the Next Gen Racing Discord. And more about how you can find out more about the Next Gen Racing Discord later on this broadcast, ladies and gentlemen, because we do now need to skip, hop and jump to race number 2. We'll be back in approximately 4 minutes time for the build up to race 2. We'll see you very shortly. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are back as quick as that, going from race number 1 to race number 2, and we are back for more racing in round 5 of the NXTCC Season 6, as powered by IMB Racewear and brought to you on iRacing. And well, after an incredible first race of the day, we've now got plenty more racing to come in our second race, and as all our drivers get set and ready to go, of course, we heard only moments ago from Patrick Falconer for JW Motorsport and the recent sponsorship partnership between what is Falconer PCs and NextGen Racing. But as we come from talking about building PCs and getting set up on the sim rigs to go and racing once again, well, the humidity has been turned up quite a bit, or at least the moisture in the air. We've got a lot of fog here now at the Spanish circuit, and the cloud is coming in as well. And could this serve to mix things up? We'll have to wait and see. But the one definite thing that's going to win the minds of our drivers is the fact those conditions have cooled quite considerably, and well, we are only now, what is the best part of 30 seconds away from going racing for the second time today. Indeed, it's a pretty quick transition from race 1 to race number 2, but will we see repeat winners across our classes? Remember, overall it was Luciano Witvoet who took his second ever overall NXTCC win. We saw in the Pro class it was the drive of Alex Meredith to take victory. He's going to be starting with both Ben Altrier and Reese Watt right behind him on the grid. And in the AM class, Harley Bicknell has brought himself a lot of breathing room in the AM class. Will he be able to make it count? We'll place your bets, ladies and gentlemen, because it's time for us to go racing once again. And well, as we do, we head to the grid for race number 2. So as our drivers line up on the grid, this is how they'll line up for the second race of the day. It's Luciano Witvoet who takes pole position for World of Racing, joined on the front row by none other than Wojciech Swirydowicz for Semper Racing. We'll now have Benjamin McCluskey starting P3 for Next Gen Pink, joined by the Sim Racing Collective's Kieran Sharp. Keep your eyes out for the Honda driver. He had a very solid first race of the day. He may be able to make even more progress, perhaps even get onto the podium. Adam Delman starts P5 for SRO with Next Gen Gold, ahead of Patrick Falconer for JW Motorsport, who you heard from only moments ago. Alex Meredith starts P7, the Pro and Pole sitter for Next Gen, head of Ben Altrier for 40LV Motorsport. And the theme of primes continues with row number 5 to complete your top 10, being occupied by JW Motorsport's Reese Watt and Aztec Racing's Matthew Cheverton. And well, goodness me, ladies and gentlemen, if the 390 driver gets ahead of his 3 rivals in front of him, there will be fireworks, because we know one thing about Matthew Cheverton: he can put up some very strong defenses. Sam Smith starts P11 just behind there, 5 primes altogether. He completes the run in best of rest P11 for iRacing Esports, head of Gavin Garn, the Pro driver for Next Gen Pink, who starts P12. On the 7th row of the grid, it's Nick Clemens for iRacing Esports and rival in class for Next Gen of Lee Horn, with Mikey Doble starting P15 for Doble Sim Racing, ahead of Wayne Douglas for Next Gen Pink. You then have Matthew Addy starting P17 for Next Gen, ahead of Jack Jeffries for Red Grove Projects, with your top 20 being completed by Daniel Danning for Goldwyn Motorsport and Russell Fowler for Performance Thing Esports, with both drivers having mixed fortunes in the first race of the day. Luke Jones starts P21 for JW Motorsport, ahead of Goldwyn Motorsport's Sam Van Olst, with Slavomir Jarvosky enjoying the first race, but losing some places early on, having to make the way back when he starts P23 for Semper Racing, head of Jamie Dory for Next Gen Pink, who's had the damage on his car repaired, and he'll be looking to make for a redemption arc in this second race. On the 13th row of the grid, it's Harley Bicknell, your AM pole sitter for JW Motorsport, ahead of Alan McCain for iRacing Esports, with Marcel Fritsch, the Austrian, starting P27 for WS Racing Esports, ahead of Joseph Doble for Doble Sim Racing. And then we do have Adam McNally starting P29. A difficult start to today. Looks though the difficulties are staying with him for SR and Next Gen Gold, head of Andrew Pike for the Sim Racing Collective, who completes your top 30. P31, it's Matt Emmons for Verano Motorsport, ahead of Shane Piggott for Ace of Spades Racing, with Ian Mans for JW Motorsport and Mitchell West for Mitch West Performance completing your 17th row. And on row 18, it's Daniel Fritz for Risky Runners Racing and Kevin Smith for Verano Motorsport. And then to complete the final 2 rows, but we complete the top 40, it is always the pairing of, firstly on row number 19, James Mazes Gal for Aztec Racing and Stuart Winers for Track Scotland, with Piotr Jegowski for Semper Racing and Track Scotland's Kieran Smart completing the run of P40. And it's Craig Tillison who starts P41 for Fusion Racing, ahead of Darren Ills for Ace of Spades Racing, with P43 going to Isaac Doble for Doble Sim Racing, ahead of Jack Southwood for the Sim Racing Collective. Jonathan Collins starts P45 for Whiskey Runner Racing, ahead of Mark Sykes for Next Gen. And then it's Gabriel Yumaz Prize P47 for Aztec Racing ahead of Roy Plummer for Next Gen. And on the final full rider grid, it's Akram's known for the organisation. Mark Ken, Full Tilt Motorsport starts P50, and Costa Transcontinental once again starting by his lonesome on row number 26, P51 for 287 Motorsport brings up the rear. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, all the grid is set. Our drivers are in position. We've only got about 10 seconds before the lights do go on, and race number 2 is almost with us. And after a phenomenal race number 1, what's it going to be when those lights go on? Well, everyone's in place on the grid. Everyone is set and itching to go for another 9 laps of race in Spain. Conditions have cooled, but tempers have not. And as the lights are going on, it is going to be 1 red light, 2 red lights, 3 red lights, 4 red lights, 5 red lights. And it's lights out and away we go. It's a quick start for many here, and they all react to it. Luciano Witvoet again struggling out of the blocks as Wojciech Swirydowicz takes the lead in what is a parallel to race 1. Behind them, meanwhile, it's 3-4 wide for many a driver as they make their way through the opening corner. Cars being sent sideways there. Everyone being scattered to the side, however. Looks like most of our drivers will be able to make it through, but it's cool temperatures and cold brakes and tyres that's caught out many a driver this time around. And it looks like in particular we've seen a number of drivers get pushed wide, including Gavin Gardner, Daniel Downing and Sam Smith. Also as an Aztec Racing machine caught up in that. Kevin Smith also seems to get caught up as they all make the way uphill. It's 3-4, perhaps even 5 wide, as it looks like Slavomir Jawlowski being ping-ponged about there and collecting win on his way out of the pinball machine. None other than what is, I do believe, that is Daniel Downing, who's had a nightmare start to the race alongside Jawlowski. The two Elantra drivers having an absolutely horrific time. But meanwhile, your race leader, Wojciech Swirydowicz, leads the field down into turns 8 to 9, and as he does so, Witvoet and McCluskey close by with Kieran Sharp P4, and then Adam Dunn completing that top 5, Patrick Falcon there P6, and your top 6 are exactly how they started with your prime leader Alex Meredith. Well, he's got Matthew Sheraton behind him. Sheraton's gained 2 places off the lights, and well, right now Meredith will be grateful that he's not going to be seeing that Audi in front of him. Instead, he can be the one to be obstinate rather than Sheraton, who we know can be an absolute thorn in anybody's side if he gets in front. But as they make their way down to braking in turn 12, bit of contact there, Meredith being tapped on the rear by Sheraton, and well, he won't be too pleased with that. Sheraton tries to get into the mix. Tree looks up the inside, but Sheraton backs off there to let Meredith regain his composure. And as they make their way into turns 14 and 15, with this Pro-Am lead battle already starting to intensify massively between the drivers as they make their way onto the back straight. Meanwhile, your AM leader is still Harley Bicknell. The JW Motorsport driver in the 99 has held on to his lead, but James Mansescal has gained multiple places behind him. In fact, he's gained the best part of what is, I do believe, 3 places off the race start for Aztec Racing. In fact, more than that. And as he makes his way down the back straight, well, he's got ahead of a number of drivers, but Mark Sykes has jumped all the way up to P28 in all the confusion of the race start regards the instance into turn 1. Well, Mark Sykes has leapfrogged his way up through the field, and well, Akram's noon right now is trying to do a similar thing here as there's contact. James Spazzagal to the grass, car goes sideways, that collects Harley Bicknell sent wide, and in the shunt it means now it's going to be, I believe, Mark Sykes who goes round the outside of Bicknell, tries to get out of the way, since Marcel Fridge into the runoff there as Fridge just takes the wrong side of a wayward JW Motorsport car, and well, that's been in the wrong place at the right time as he rejoins, and there's contact with the Irish Esports car there, of which I do believe Sam Smith as they race on. Car behind's been turned around, and it's all ended up in pandemonium as the car sent across the road, collects the driver as well, and that I do believe is what is, unless I'm mistaken, the car of, I do believe, excuse me, that is the car of what I believe, unless I'm very much mistaken, is Ian Manners being collected. In fact, that's not Ian Manners. We're trying to discern who it is. But in the meantime, it has been an absolute domino effect coming out of the final couple of corners. All the drivers carrying on. I do believe we're still under green flag conditions, ladies and gentlemen, but not the way they want to start it in the midfield of the pack, no doubt about it. And well, as our drivers all push on ever still, well, right now, I think there's going to be a number of tempers that need to be called. But meanwhile, as the carnage seems to calm down and the sun starts to come out, Wojciech Swirydowicz leads after 1 lap, head of Luciano Witvoet P2, Benjamin McCluskey P3, Kieran Sharp P4, head of Adam Delmont P5, with Delmont under huge pressure from Patrick Falconer in the fight for P5, Falconer P6 currently, and then you've got your AM leader, your prime leaders I should say, of Alex Meredith, Matthew Sheridan and Ben Trier behind, with Wayne Douglas P10, and best dressed P11 is Lee Horn, with Reese Watt dropping down the order, and Lee Horn being passed on the inside here into turn number 12 by none other than Jack Jeffries, who has a spring in his step there as he launches the car over the apex curve of turn at number 12, and well, the suspension taking the impact. But meanwhile, Alex Meredith under huge pressure from Matthew Sheraton for the prime lead as they come through turns 14 and 15. And keeping in mind, Meredith is now carrying the maximum success ballast in the prime class compared to his rivals, and that weight will be weighing him down. You can count on it as they make the way down the order, and as they make the way in towards the ratings over turn number 16. Well, Meredith right now, he's got Sheraton on his inside. That Audi's going to have the overspeed, no doubt about it. I think it's only going one way here unless Meredith can pull off a miracle of a cutback in towards turn number 16. As meanwhile behind, that's Wayne Douglas, who goes in very late on the brakes, taps Benel Trier. Benel Trier goes round, he catches the car, but Douglas there makes his way on through, and Trier will not be too happy about that. You can count on that one as they make the way up the hill in towards turn 18, and Sheraton has taken the prime lead as into the pits goes Patrick Falconer with damage to the car by looks of things. So Falconer's race is brought to an abrupt halt as they go on to lap number 3. That's a disaster for Falconer, who had a brilliant start, but as our drivers make the one through, the Aztec Racing leader of the prime class, Matthew Sheraton, now keeping his head down and pushing on even further and hoping he can extend that lead and bring on home what will be his first prime win of the season. But meanwhile, from all this, we look to Mark Sykes, who is your AM leader, with Matt Emmons just behind him. And the Verano Motorsport driver steering clear of all the danger on the opening couple of laps and making some great ground, looking to try and make it back-to-back second places in this second race of the day. And as he makes his way up the hill, you can see there the double rows of Isaac and Joseph both making their way up the inside of Emmons. And Emmons here, I think, steering clear, focusing on the bigger picture at hand, which is the need to just make sure he picks up the AM podium and the points that come with it. And as they make the way onwards and upwards towards turn number 7, well, meanwhile, we do look up the road to Shane Piggott, Stuart Wyness, Andrew Payne and Sam Olsen. It's 4 wide into the break. Is over turn. You don't go 4 wide there, but they're going to do it, and will they survive it all? But that is absolutely crazy, and the fact that Wyness is able to just sneak his way ahead into P17 with Piggott and Benols both on his sides as he makes his way on out to turn number 10 now. Car running wayward there. That is, I do believe, Russell Fowler's had a nightmare moment coming out of turn number 11. And worse, Fowler hit the tyre barrier. I get the feeling he may have, and that might explain why Fowler's all over the road by comparison as he tries to bring it back together. That Audi's struggling. The steering is not pointing in the right direction. Everyone's going to have to go around Fowler as he tries to get it to the pits. And Wyness has been bought a little bit of breathing room for Track Scotland in terms of holding on to this P7 spot in the prime class or P16 overall. But meanwhile, as Fowler here looks to just try and steer clear of everybody's race, well, right now he's going to be the speed bump in the road for everybody. As you can see that everyone having to part the seas around him, and will the Briton making his way on down the back straight, the car picking up speed, but as it seems Jack Southfield gets ahead, so does Mark Sykes, and the AM leader right now running his way up into the Pro-Am field and trying to give himself as much breathing room to Matt Emmons further behind, as here we can see Akram Saloon up the inside of the car there. Of what is, I do believe, of Luke Jones, and making the move count. But as he does so in the car that was going slowly on the inside run there, I do believe being the car, the Honda, we're trying to discern, I think it was of Costa Chats Continental, who was having to go slowly there, making his way on down the back straight under blue flags. And I believe he was the car you saw caught up in the instant on the start-finish straight when we did incorrectly call it, refer to him as Mitchell West earlier on. But as our drivers make the way on around, well, we still got the best part of 5 more laps of racing to go. And, well, as we do, we're going to take a look back at the race start from the perspective of Mark Sykes, who made an absolutely huge number of places in this race start, and get his perspective on what was a chaotic opening 5 corners. So you can see there while the Ace of Spades racing car's having a slow launch, Sykes getting a good amount of launch initially, but will spin as he made his way into second gear. But now coming on down to the breakers, though, plenty of space in front on a nice inside line as well to get himself every opportunity. He backs off here. Many a driver coming in quite hot. You could see a lot of drivers misanticipating how much temperature's in the tyres and the brakes. And while Sykes picks up the best part of 7 places there, goes around the outside of Mitchell West on the uphill run in towards what was turn number 3. Having to be brave here to hold it too wide around the corner on cold tyres. Emmons in front of him, and this was into turn number 5 up into 5th gear. And well, Sykes backing off initially and thinking about the move, but not quite able to do so, and having to make it count later on. And well, in the end, Emmons going into a bit of contact Marshall Fridge, and we stay on board here all the way up to turn 7 in fact for this race start. And well, Sykes in the end side by side with Emmons into the breakings over turn number 7, and this was where he got the move done and making it happen to take what was the lead of the AM class in a single lap over 7 quarters, even with what was 4 wide coming down to the braking zone in front of him, and able to steer clear with the SRL driver there having a difficult day. I believe that might have been the car of Adam McNally. But meanwhile, ladies and gentlemen, as we return it to the race and we go from the scenic view there, our camera's glitching back to the racing, and well, from what I hear, we might have had a bit of a major shunt for Kieran Sharp whilst we've been looking back at the racing footage of the race start from Mark Sykes' perspective. And well, we do have 3 wide here coming out of turn 16 to 70. This is Jack Jeffries battling with Wayne Douglas and also Matthew Sheraton. And well, here's the point we were talking about earlier, as Alex Meredith is ahead and Matthew Sheraton into the pits. So I believe was Wayne Douglas almost. Sheraton's had to come in now. What is this for? That's the big question. Well, we will try and get an explanation as to what's happened to the Aztec Racing driver, but meanwhile, what we can tell you is that Alex Meadows is back into the AM lead, and behind him is an absolutely riotous number of pros and primes. Jack Jeffries here, who's found his way up into P6 out of all the craziness of the open half of this race, and the Red Grove Projects driver right now trying to pick up the pieces and looking to go for a top 5 finish overall, but he's got Lee Horn for company behind, and then we don't have number drivers. In fact, that's one drive going on very long, and that is Wayne Douglas. Now, was there contact to the rear of Wayne Douglas under braking into turn 5 that sent him wide, or was that of his own volition? I suspect it may have been the former, as I hear in my ear that he was turned into the corner, but the NXTGEN pink driver brings himself back on into P18, and behind him Alan McCain and Akram Zanoon are running in the bottom end of the top 20, but the drivers make the way on down towards turns 8 to 9. Zanoon looking for the move here for what would be P9 in the prime class versus McCain on the inside. McCain squeezes the door, but Zanoon's going to try and go around the outside of turn at number 9. I don't think he's going to be able to find it. There's not enough width in order to be able to plant a move, and meanwhile Jack Salford and Luke Jones now start to look on as an opportunity to make their own way into the top 10 of the AM class. Zanoon goes very close there to the tyre barrier, but not to do so in the end, and Salford now increasingly close as we ride on board with the Honda Civic Type R driver from the Sim Racing Collectors. He fights from P21. But as he does so, we get a good perspective of the battle between Zanoon and McCain, and how Salford right now will be just looking to channel his inner opportunist to try and find a way into the mix as he makes his way for the right hand of 14 into 15. But look at how close it is. Salford goes to the cutback. It's a nice move in the snake train there. And Zanoon's Parter versus McCain in the encosting position, but a bit of contact between the two of them. But on top of that as well, the Audi straight line speed, you can see Salford pushed back down to P21. He can't really find a way of through. He's going to have to do this under brake, and he's going to have to get it done in the first half of the lap and try and break away. Zanoon goes defensive in the middle of the road there, also to try and put some pressure onto McCain. Southfield says, I can do that as well, goes into the middle of the road late on the brakes, and Southfield in the end going all in. It's a major investment, but remembering it's a right-hander in turn 17, and in the end Zanoon will get back ahead. Naturally on the way the circuit serpentines its way up the rise, but brilliant racing between the pair here, and now it's going to be McCain under pressure as they make their way down the start-finish straight in towards turn number 1, and coming on down here, well, McCain puts it in the middle of the road, defending to the inside line. Meanwhile, Salford looks up the inside. You can see Zanoon has to straighten the steering, seeing the Honda in his left-hand mirror, and as they make their way through turns 1 and 2, these three are absolutely putting on the show here, and it may not be for many points, but those points mean prizes in their minds. And as they make their way through turn 12 up towards turn number 3, where it's going to be now McCain, who's under increasing pressure here, turn 2 to turn 3, I should say. They wouldn't have gone from turn 12 to 3 that quickly, but under brake, and McCain goes deep, and where it's going to be, Zanoon makes it was 2 wide, and Salford says, let's make it 3 wide. Well, he's going to be the outside there. Surely the Honda driver can't commit to this move as McCain still defends hard to the inside. Through the right hander they go. 2 wide as they head down towards turn number 8, and we've got battles happening up the road as well. We will get to those, we promise, ladies and gentlemen. This battle right now keeping us transfixed, and in the end Zanoon goes around the outside to inside to the chicane. Southfield there. There's contact between Southfield and McCain. I think McCain also hitting the rear of Zanoon's car, and the iRacing Sports driver is turned sideways and loses out of plenty, but Akram Zanoon getting the job done, for it all went wrong for McCain, and in at the end, what a move, Matt Crampton, and a brilliant batting between them. But meanwhile, we look a bit further up the road, and this is Stuart Wyness, who's still fighting with Shane Piggott and Sam Bernals for what is P6 in the prime class with P14 overall. Well, the key position they all want is the one that Matthew Addy in front of them has, which is P13 overall, because remember, that position is the place that is definitely eligible for a reverse grid slot in the race free grid. It's anywhere between P30 and P23, but the number 13 has to be drawn as a minimum. And well, as the drivers make their way down the back stretch, well, right now it will be the question of who can find the way ahead of Matthew Addy, if anybody can, as meanwhile Mikey Doble looking to make some further progress here in the number 1 Veloster, as he goes into the left-hander at turn number 16, and as he does so, Kieran Sharp trying to fight back, but the Honda there not being able to quite articulate the move. He wants to get on the counter-attack, and Doble making the move into P8 and starting to move his way up the order, and as he makes his way down towards turn number 1, I think this might be some preparation to come for the season opener of the BTCC at Donington Park this coming weekend, ladies and gentlemen. And we've spoken to Mikey previously about his exploits in both real-life touring car and also in the NXTCC, and the similarities and also the differences. And right now today, really enjoying the elbows out race that you get in real life as well, as he makes his way up the rise of 2 in towards 3. Well, from then we look a little bit further down the order. In fact, we look all the way back down to what is James Mazescal, who chases after Craig Tillotson, and Gabriel Yilmaz just in front. The Aztec Racing sandwich is enclosing the Fusion Racing driver as they make their way down the start-finish straight. This is the battle for P5 in the AM class, or it's P35, and as they make their way down into the braking zone here, with Mazescal close right now, but not quite able to think about a move, as Tillotson doing a good job to hold on and trying to fight again for P6 in the AM class to match his result from race number 1. But as they head up the hill towards turns 2 and 3, will mean while we look to Alex Meredith, your Pro-Am leader. He's got the encroaching presence of another Pro-Am driver, and it's Lee Horn, who after what was a relatively quiet race number 1, is now on the back of the 44 that looks to try and make it 2 Pro-Am wins out of 2 in the second race of the day. But Horn is trying to assert him as they head on through turns 12 into 13. But as they do so, you can see Mikey Doe and Kieran Sharp a little bit further behind. And while we were going to get a replay of what happened to Kieran Sharp earlier on, we have got that queued up. That was back on lap number 4. We'll bring it shortly, ladies and gents, because Sharp at the time was running inside the top 5. We stay with this battle at the time here as Meredith goes a bit deep there at 15, and I think the pressure and the weight in the car now starting to build as they make the way down. You can see Horn getting closer there in the toe as he pulls out of the toe. The problem is the Honda starts to lose legs down the back straight, but he's going to be there with Meredith having the success as he equalises the cars on top end speed. Horn's got a nose ahead into the braking zone he goes. The Honda's got the better brake. Surely he'll be able to get this move done, and in the end he does. Meredith in the end not quite able to counter-attack on the exit, but I think for Alex Meredith, he'll be looking to try and make a return move with 2 laps remaining. But even if he's not quite able to, I think his mindset will just simply be get to the end and take a double podium, and that itself will be a huge achievement, no doubt about it, as they head down towards turn number 1. But meanwhile, in the rear of the picture, that's Reese Watt battling with Matthew Addy, and this is for what is P4 in the Prime class and P12 overall, as it's Watt and Addy side by side in turn 1. Watt on the inside, Addy on the outside. It switches to the right-hander at 2, but here comes Jamie Dory looking to try and move from P13 up to P11, and as they make their way up towards turns 2 and 3, well, right now it's going to be Watt who's holding on, and Addy being forced into contention versus what is Dory as they head into the braking zone. But as they do, going into the left-hander here, will Reese Watt right now with a heavily damaged rear on the cars. We see a car going wide. That's Shane Piggott who's been sent wide at turn number 5, but as he rejoins little by little heading in towards turn 7, Watt defending even more so here, and right now having to clutch at straws to try and hold on to this position for as long as he can. And it's going to be too wide coming down into the braking zone for turn 8, but for Stuart Winus it's another move on another day, and he's going to go all in here versus Jamie Dory. Remember, it's on the outside now, turn number 9, and Dory will be able to retake the place of Sam Knowles. Looks at the move in return, 3 wide cover through turn number 10 as they roar their way down for the left-hander, and Will Dory's able to clear the pair behind him, and the 2 primes they'll go toe-to-toe as they all run very wide. They're almost all to the tyre barrier, and as they head on through in towards turn number 12, it's going to be 3 wide. It's a diagonal 3 wide, and Dory able to outbrake his rivals. Contact there, and Winus and both Woodis Vanols turn sideways, and Vanols triggered the contact, would seem, and into it comes Akram Zanoon. So does Andrew Pike past the seats around the primes and gets clear of them, but Zanoon's not quite able to, and well, the elbows are coming out now, the gloves are off as the drivers make the way on through. Meanwhile, further down the order, we've got plenty of battling here between Marcel Fritsch and also with Kieran Smart, as the Darius Racing Esports driver loses a place to, I believe, Smart in the battle for P29 overall, P14 in the Pro-Am field, and will keep points available all the way to P15 in the class. And right now, Marcel Fritsch looking to bring home some points before the end of this race. But as they make the way on down the back straight, contact in the rear of the picture. That's Mitchell West in contact with what I believe is Sam Smith, the Australian driver there. And well, I'm not quite sure what triggered it, but you can see a flash of lights from Smith. He's not too happy about how it's played out. But meanwhile, ladies and gents, let's not forget we've got a race leader. And here he is, Wojciech Swirydowicz, leading this race by 2.5 seconds over Luciano Witvoet. And with the success balance in the car being reversed between these 2 drivers, it seems as though that reversal of only 8 kilograms has made a complete difference to the nature and pace of the racing between these two, as Swirydowicz has just gradually opened up a gap, and McCluskey P3 behind. But as Adam Delman makes his way through turn number 5, the SO NXTGEN Gold driver right now doing everything right to hold on to this fourth place spot, and well, he's got the pressure of Jack Jeffries 8 tenths back, but Jeffries closing little by little, perhaps not enough, as meanwhile a bit further down the order, place is being gained even more so by Mikey Dowen out to P7 as he's battling with Alex Meredith, but making the move stick after turn number 5, and the Doble Sim Racing driver finding what will be his first finish inside the top 10 today if he is able to bring this home. As the drivers make their way down through turns 8 to 9. Well, from then we look back to Mark Sykes, your AM leader, and finds himself in the nip and tuck and trying to hold on to a spot inside the top 23 right now, and a potential opportunity to be on that reverse grid if the right numbers are drawn. But Isaac Dole battling side by side out to turn number 9, and we can see Sykes there tucked in by Shane Piggott as they make their way for the long left-hander at turn 10. Dirty air plus an outside line and understeer. The natural to a front engine front wheel drive car's not going to help as they make their way onwards towards turn 12, and in the end Sykes falls back to P22 of Alan McCain, waiting the wings to pounce. But from them we do look a bit further back up the field to Jamie Dory, who right now in P12, the NXTGEN Pink driver, still keeping Pint behind him as Pint trying to find one more place before all is said and done. But meanwhile, where I think places are not going to change, ladies and gentlemen, is at the front of the field, because as Luciano Witvoet makes way out turn 16, it's a 3-second gap, and that gap is not closing as this man, he may have been denied the win in race number 1, but he immediately returns to winning race in race number 2. Wojciech Swirydowicz from Semper Racing is your winner in the second race of the day, overall in pro class header Luciano Witvoet, with Benjamin McCluskey completing your overall and pro podium. It's going to be a P4 to Adam Delman for SO and NXTGEN Gold as he cross-lined the Englishman just ahead of Jack Jeffries, and then Lee Horn takes the prime win for NXTGEN P6 overall, ahead of Mikey Doble, with Alex Meredith the prime runner-up there behind his teammates. The NXTGEN 1-2 in the prime class, Kieran Sharp P9 ahead of Ben Altrier, who comes on home your third place podium finisher in the prime class. And as more of the tries come through, Mark Sykes returns to the top step. It was Harley Bicknell took the win in race 1 for the AM class, but the NXTGEN driver after that brilliant race start takes the win in race number 2. It's going to be a P2 in class behind the NXTGEN driver in the AM class for Whiskey Runner Racing's Jonathan Collins, who adds to his podium collection. I believe that's his third podium of the season in the AM class, and Matt Emmons makes it back-to-back AM podiums there for Verano Motorsport, third place in the AM class, P29 overall. And well, as we do have a couple more drivers coming to the end of their respective races, ladies and gentlemen, well, there is crossing line Gabriel Yilmaz ahead of Craig Tillerson, who could not hold on the end to fend off the Aztec Racing driver. He'll take P40 with the Fusion Racing driver. Roy Plummer comes home P41 in a better second race of the day. Samuel Javoski at P42, and then it will be Daniel Downing at the penultimate finish of this race on the lead lap, who takes P43, and will your last finisher in the end, it will be none other than Adam McNally, who will be taking home P44. And well, as he makes his way on down the back straight, it's a long journey to the finish for him, but he'll make his way on down for SO and NXTGEN Gold, and we'll see him cross line shortly, ladies and gents, and that's a promise. But meanwhile, this man, Wojciech Swirydowicz, as he drifts and dances his way through the medium speed chicane of turns 14 and 15. He's ecstatic, and he knows that the 2 results so far have been key results to keep that championship lead well and truly alive. But as well, Luciano Witvoet throwing everything at him, and the world of racing driver just not quite able to overcome that extra 8 kilograms of success ballast. And Benjamin McCluskey at back-to-back third place finishes. The NXTGEN Pink driver highly consistent and absolutely pleased with that. But meanwhile, into where's the pits has come Adam McNally, your last finisher of this race, ladies and gentlemen. He'll finish in the pit lane, and he will be P44 for SL with NXTGEN Gold. As we do look back to the field that's making its way into the pit lane, Lee Horn comes on home at P6 in your pro and winner. It's been some time since we've seen him on the top step of the prime podium, but managed to steer clear of the danger on the open laps and get himself stuck into the fight. And Alex Meredith, he may have had all the success ballast in the car, but a P2 in the prime class, he'll be very happy with that to add to his win in the first race of the day. And I think Meredith's championship campaign may be truly back on its way, with Ben Altrier for Full Tilt Motorsport completing that prime podium with a P10 and a great result for him. As Mark Sykes makes his way into the pit lane, couple of cars smoking there, and well, we'll see Jonathan Collins and Matt Emmons come in shortly after them, your AM podium finishers, and Jonathan Collins at the 1-2-3 driver be ecstatic with another podium to add to his collection. We take a look at the scenic view, ladies and gentlemen, and take you through those race results subject to Elliott Stewart's inquiries. I suspect there might be a few. So after another 9 laps of intense and incredible racing in round 5 of season 6 of the Next Gen Racing Touring Car Championship, brought to you on iRacing, for our second race of the day, it was Wojciech Swirydowicz who took the win for Semper Racing by 2.7 seconds in the end over World of Racing's Luciano Witvoet, with the Dutchman being followed up by the Briton of Next Gen Pink, Benjamin McCluskey. Those three on the podium in race number 1, and they made your overall podium in race number 2. Adam Delman, P4 there for SO Next Gen Gold, capitalising on the chaos around him ahead of Jack Jeffries, the Red Grove Projects driver, making a huge set of gains to finish P5 and one of the biggest gains in a race this season, the 67. Congratulations to him, with Pro-Am winner Lee Horn at P6 there for Next Gen, by what was in the end half a second over Mikey Doble for Doble Sim Racing. Alex Meredith run up in the Prime class, P8 overall for Next Gen, and Kieran Sharp recovering well to P9 come the finish for the Sim Racing Collective ahead of Ben Altria, who was your third and final finisher on the Pro Am podium for Full Tilt V Motorsport to complete that Pro Am podium of Horn, Meredith and Altria, but also he was your final top 10 finisher. P11 best of the rest went to Matthew Addy for Next Gen ahead of Akram Zanoon, the organisation driver, back on fine form since his return to the grid today. Then Jamie Dory taking P13, much like his door number for Next Gen Pink, and he'll be the driver who's definitely on that reverse grid. But then could we potentially see anyone from him through to P23 on the reverse grid, including Andrew Pite, the Sim Racing Collective driver, who gained in 16 places, as mentioned by Handsome Stu in the YouTube chat. A great recovery drive after race number 1 for Andrew Pite for the Sim Racing Collective, head of Reese Watt, who completes your overall top 15 for JW Motorsport. Then Stuart Winus, Joseph Doble, Sam Van Olst, and what was Jack Salford and Shane Piggott completing your top 20, or the Ace of Spades Racing Drive being followed up by Isaac Doble for Doble Sim Racing. Mark Sykes, your AM winner, taking P22 for Next Gen ahead of Alan McCain, who is in the final eligible reverse grid slot, P23 there for iRace Esports. And then Patrick Falconer, P24, the JW Motorsport driver, having it all go wrong on the opening lap, and in the end recovering to P24, but not enough to get into a potential reverse grid position. Ahead of Luke Jones of JW Motorsport, his teammate. Then Pietro Jegosewski having a great second race, finishing P26 for Semper Racing. Head of AM runner-up, Jonathan Collins for Whiskey Runner Racing. And then to complete your top 30, it was Kieran Smart, Matt Emmons and Marcel Fritsch, with P29 driver Matt Emmons third place in the AM class to complete that AM podium of Sykes, Collins and Emmons, with the Verano Motorsport driver there making it back-to-back class podiums. P31 for Matthew Sheraton ahead of Daniel Fritz, with Sam Smith, Mitch West and James Smassersgale completing your top 35. Russell Fowler only a 10th behind at the finish line, P36 ahead of Nick Clibbins. And there's Wayne Douglas, P38, and a very shaky second race in terms of being involved in quite a number of incidents, and well, not all of those his own doing, but I definitely think he'll be feeling some bruises after this one. And well, then completing your top 40 was Gabriel Yilmaz and Craig Tillerson. Roy Plummer, P41 ahead of Slavomir Jarvosky, with what was Daniel Downing and Adam McNally to complete your finishes on the lead lap. Then finish a lap down Mark Kent and Kevin Smith, with 2 laps down to Ian Manners, 3 laps down to Gavin Gardner, P48. And then to complete your top 50, it was Darren Ills, who'll be your last classified finisher as he completed over half the race distance for Ace of Spades Racing. An unfortunate retirement for both Costa Chats Constantinu and also Harley Bicknell. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, that completes our second race of the day. We have got one more race to come, and that is race number 3, our reverse grid race. And well, with the thought of a reverse grid, that always leads to one big question, which is, where are we going to see the reverse grid from? We cut to the commentary booth, and good evening to you all. And well, it's great to see so many of you enjoying the races so far in the respective chats. And well, with us, we have the Next Gen Racing Lottery Bowl, as always. And what we're going to do very shortly is close our eyes, shuffle the balls, and draw 2 of them out and add them together to give you your reverse grid position for the final race of the day. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's do the draw. So that's our initial shuffle, and we draw our first ball out of the bowl, and it is going to be the number 6, so a relatively small reverse grid for today, unless we get a very large number to go with it. But the number 6 has been drawn initially. What's going to be our second number? Well, here we go. And it is going to be To go with the number 6, the number 10. So in the end, it will be 16th place that gets the reverse grid pole, and it is Stuart Wyniss for Track Scotland who takes what I believe is his first reverse grid pole of the season. And well, that is definitely going to mix things up because he'll have on the front row with him Reese Watt, fellow Pro-Am driver, and then it'll be Andrew Pike and Jamie Dewar on that second row, the 2 leading pro drivers. It's going to be fireworks in race number 3, ladies and gentlemen. And well, to get set for fireworks, we do recommend you step away and get yourself a liquid refreshment. Alternatively, if you need that bathroom break, take it now because you won't want to miss what's coming up, and that will be in approximately 10 minutes time. We will see you very shortly for our final race of the day. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are back then for the final race of today. Race 3 of 3 here in round 5 of season 6 of the NXTCC, brought to you on iRacing, powered by IMB Racewear. And well, race number 1 looked intense, but when we look at race 2 in perspective, well, race number 1 seemed pretty tame compared to the chaos and the intensity of the racing in race number 2. And we definitely saw drivers take it up a level, and I can tell you that already our race director and a number of the stewards have had to have words with a good number of drivers to say to them all to calm it down from race number 2. And of course, it's touring car racing, everyone is going to get fiery and whatnot, but indeed, many a driver having a difficult day in our second race of the day, including this man at Costa Chats Continental for 287 Motorsport, who we did see having a great start, making quite a lot of ground, only to be collected down the start-finish straight when he had moved his way up into what was at the time at the top 7 of the AM class, but still one more race to go, and you never know what can happen in the final race of the day, particularly with that partial reverse grid that always throws the proverbial spanner into the works. And well, the driver who is going to be leading that grid away will be none other than Stuart Wyness, who takes what is the reverse grid 16 and makes it his first ever reverse grid pole position. And well, meanwhile, starting all the way down in 16th for our final race will be the man who took the win in race number 2, Wojciech Swirydowicz, the Semper Racing driver. And well, can anything stop him? Have maximum success ballast in this final race of the day, and I suspect progress may be a lot more challenging, but he'll still find a way through. That'll be his target to finish inside the top 10. But as we get ready for that final race of the day, 2.5 minutes left to go, we do say hello there to Jerry, the race car driver, in the YouTube chat. Good to see you too, Jerry. Hope you're doing well. And well, we can see Ryder Motorsport there in the YouTube chat saying, well, that was absolute chaos. Indeed, a chaotic second race. And well, everyone said K-Teams as well, who we haven't said hello to in the Facebook chat. Katie, a long time NXTCC and Next Gen Racing fan. Always great to see you tune in, Katie, and I hope you're having a good time and also are doing well as well. And we also say hello to Super Riley 10, who wished everyone the best luck at the start of today's broadcast. Not on the grid this week, but hoping to be back on the grid next week. And we miss you, Riley, and that's Riley Sheridan, of course. And we hope you are back on the grid next week. So it's not quite the same without all of our NXTCC drivers on the grid. That's what makes the NXTCC what it is. And well, as we look to Shane Piggott, the Ace of Spades racing driver, who definitely has made a lot of progress today over the course of 2 races after having to serve what was a qualifying ban. So he's had to work his way up from the back of the grid, and well, in doing so, he's worked hard, no doubt about it. And well, sometimes going for the hardest trials and tribulations are what make championship campaigns for our drivers. But as everybody gets themselves set, we also say hello in the Twitch chat to In-Depth Patrol 2. And well, as everybody settles in, the big question will be for the final race today, could we see new names at the top of each class taking it to the first step of the podium? Could we see first-time winners even? Of course, that's what these reverse grid races have a knack of delivering. Is a lot of uncertainty, but we love it. And well, as we look to Jamie Dory, as he makes his way out of turn 10 in towards 11 and 12. Definitely been a rough evening for Dory in the fact 2 very mixed results in races 1 and 2. Not really the results practically as expected today, but still one more race to come his way. And will he be able to find a little bit more form and flourish before it's all over? Well, that will be on his mind to try and do so. Keep in mind, he'll be starting on what will be P4 on the grid for the final race. So he'll be on that second row, and the Audi, with its launch, if it is set correctly, can be leading into the first corner. He'll have Andrew Pyatt for company, however. They'll be starting on that second row together, and well, it's definitely going to be close in that run. And I think many a driver right now, we've just taken a breather and figured out what is possible. And one driver showed plenty of overtaking is possible here at Crimson, with plenty of fighting on what was race number 2. The organisation driver even making moves perhaps he did expect into some corners, as we found out, continuing his battle with Jamie Dory into the turn 16 hairpin. But that's all in the past. We're now here in the present, and well, presently, ladies and gents, but it's time to head to the grid for our final race of the day. So as our drivers line up on the grid, this is how they'll line up for race 3 of 3. And it's Stuart Wyness, the Scotsman, who takes reverse grid pole for Track Scotland. He'll be joined on the front row of the grid by none other than JW Motorsport's Reese Watt. The 2 primes lock out the front row. Behind them is going to be the pro pair of Andrew Pyatt for the Sim Racing Collective and Jamie Dory for Next Gen Pink. Aaron Zanoon will be starting at P5 on the grid, and he'll be joined on the third row of the grid by fellow Prime driver Next Gen's Matthew Addy. Well, the Prime of Ben Altrier starting P7 for Full Tilt P Motorsport, joined by the Pro of Kieran Sharp, who starts P8 for the Sim Racing Collective. Then Alex Meredith for Next Gen and Mikey Doble for Doble Sim Racing complete your top 10. The 6th row of the grid goes to Lee Horn for Next Gen and Jack Jeffries for Red Grove Projects. And behind them on row number 7, it's Adam Delmont for SRO and Next Gen Gold and Next Gen Pink's Benjamin McCluskey. Then on the 8th row of the grid, it's Luciano Witvoet for World of Racing, the Dutchman looking to go batting with Wojciech Swirydowicz, who will be starting P16 for Semper Racing. Keep your eyes on them towards the back of the top 20, with the 9th row of the grid being contested by Joseph Doble for Doble Sim Racing and Goldwing Motorsports Sam Van Olst. And then the top 20 being rounded off by Jack Salford for the Sim Racing Collective and Ace of Spades Racing's Shane Piggott. As it Doble starts P21 for Doble Sim Racing ahead of Am Pole Sitter of Mark Sykes for Next Gen. And we have Alan McCain P23 for iRace Esports ahead of Patrick Falconer for JW Motorsport. And then we look to row number 13. It'll be Luke Jones for JW Motorsport and Piotr Jegosleski for Semper Racing. And we're expecting Jegosleski to make further progress in this final race of the day. And Jonathan Collins there picking up a podium in what was the second race of the day in the Am class. He'll look to repeat that for Whiskey Runner Racing in this final race of the day. Ahead of Kieran Smart for Track Scotland, and your top 30 being rounded off there by the Am of Matt Edmonds for Arno Motorsport. Can he make it 3 podiums in a row? And Marcel Fritsch for WS Racing Esports, the Austrian driver. Very unfortunate. He was targeting the top 20 in the second race, but a bad call on which way to go around an instant cost him very dear. He completes your top 30. Head of 16th row starters Matthew Sheraton for Aztec Racing and Daniel Fritz for Whiskey Runner Racing. Sam Smith starts P33 for iRace Esports. Head of Mitchell West for Mitch West Performance. And then behind the Australian driver, it's the pairing of Aztec Racing's James Massersgow and Russell Fowler for Performance Link Esports. On round number 19, we're going to be seeing what will be the combination of Nick Clemens for iRace Esports and Wayne Douglas for Next Gen Pink, with the AM pair from Aztec Racing and Fusion Racing of Gabriel Yilmaz and Craig Tillison on row number 20. And then in P41, it's Roy Plummer for Next Gen, ahead of Slavomir Jaworski for Semper Racing. Goldwing Motorsports Daniel Downing starts P43 ahead of Alan McNally for SRO and Next Gen Gold. Kevin Smith starts P45 ahead of Rano for Marano Motorsport, ahead of JW Motorsport's Ian Manners. Then Gavin Garner starts P47. He'll be looking for a recovery race in his final race of the day for Next Gen Pink, ahead of Darren Ills for Ace of Spades Racing. And then it will be from starting P49, last but not least, to 87 Motorsports Costa Transcontinental, who starts P49. Well, 49 starters, ladies and gentlemen, compared to the 51 we've had in the previous 2 races. We may have lost 2, but what we've lost in quantity, we'll still have plenty of quality out there going racing. It's Stuart Winers and Reese Watt on the front row of the grid, and who will be leading after the opening corner. The Audis have only got the launch, but we haven't seen a Lantra start on pole in a while. But Winers will look to try and get the run, and as the lights go on, now we find out whether he can, because it's going to be 1 red light, 2 red lights, 3 red lights, 4 red lights, 5 red lights. And it's lights out and away we go for the final race of the day as Winers gets a good start. And what right now, bogging down in first gear as they make it down. Winers immediately goes defensive. He's seen the tapes from races 1 and 2. And as they make their way through the opening corner, well, everyone immediately now having to adjust the changing track temperature. It's getting even colder out there. And the top 20 all safely make their way through. You can see Luciano Witvoet there batting, getting ahead of Benjamin McCluskey. And Wojciech Swirydowicz just got ahead of the pair of them in the run from into turn number 1. That Audi launching fantastically once again. But as our drivers make their way up the hill in towards turns 4 and 5. Further on down the order, Mark Sykes, they're getting clear into P1 is, I do believe, P23 ahead of Alan McCain. And as they all make their way down to the braking zone, Matthew Addy still fighting here with Jamie Dory. And will the top 3 being given some breathing room as Addy's still trying to hold to P4. Dory going defensive on the inside into what is turn at number 7. And as Addy goes a bit deep, Dory gives him the space to rejoin. But here comes that Crimson and he passes the C's. He takes one. Can he take both of them? No, he can't. And as they make their way down the hill, it turns 8 and 9. Dory taking plenty of apex, go unsettles the car. He tries to catch it, does so, but that could have been absolutely tantamount to disaster for Dory. I think he's had to take the long way around the tyre barrier there as the Audi finally settles down. And as he does so, that was a big near miss on the Next Gen Pink driver. And Ben Altrier, meanwhile, battling side by side with Jack Jeffries. As the full tilt Mercer driver tries to hold it to P9. Mercer, the pro driver, but the prime's on the outside in turn 12. And I think this is going to be a move that goes the way of Jeffries, and he makes it count immediately. There's contact behind, multiple cars being turned sideways there off the road. That's Adam Delmont in particular, who's been knocked out away from the circuit. Also with him, I do believe that is another one of the Doble brothers. I believe that might be the car there that's going to rejoin very shortly. But it's Joseph Doble who's made his way back on. I'll try and get a replay of what exactly happened between them under braking. It looked so 4 cars trying to go into the space for 2. But meanwhile, as Adam Delmont rejoins, he's being passed there on the inside by none other than Kevin Smith. So Delmont's all the way down to P39 with Mitchell West and Daniel Downing battling in front of him as they make their way down towards turn number 16. But meanwhile, under braking they go into the corner, and Matthew Addy under pressure as meanwhile Jamie Dory goes very late on the brakes, trying to outbrake Kieran Sharp. In there, Kieran Sharp makes his way through, further contacts Luciano Witvoet, who gets turned sideways. Rear bumper comes off the car. He tries to rejoin as everybody now cascades into the corner. There's quite a few shunts between cars, including where's Matt Evans in some side-by-side contact with the, I believe, the Aztec racing car of what is, unless I'm mistaken, Matthew Cheverton, but they've all survived it just about. In fact, they haven't, as Cheverton into contact there with Wayne Douglas. They go across the road. Matt Evans gets collected. Evans almost into the pit. Oh my good lord! And Evans is into the pit wall. 4 cars going to the pit tyre barrier. Also into the pits, I do believe, is what's there, Slavomir Chavosky. I'm not sure why. Perhaps some damage to the car earlier on, but it is disaster for multiple drivers, and we'll have to try and get a replay of what exactly happened there as soon as we can. But meanwhile, after one lap of races, our drivers make the way into lap number 2. Well, no safety car in effect at the moment, but Jay Sebastian here having to try and stem the flow of prime drivers behind him, as that's Jones and Smith fighting for what is P12 in their class, P23 overall. And as they head on through the corners, well, in all of this, Jonathan Collins is your AM leader. I think Mark Sykes got caught up in that instant going into the pit entry barrier, and we'll have to get a replay of that to explain the full story. But you can see here it's Collins now who is leading in the AM class ahead of James Mazesgal, and will Jonathan Collins, for the first time this season, leads a lap as an AM driver and the Whiskey Runner Racing driver. He'll be looking at this opportunity, but he hits the tyres there on the exit of turn 9. Could that be a repeat of what happened to what was Mark Sykes in race number 1? I think it is Collins' suspension. It's broken. You can see the front right tyre from the driver's perspective, front left on the camera. It's pointing in the wrong direction. Collins' race right now might just be over, as there's Smazesgal who goes on through to take the AM lead. A critical error from Jonathan Collins, and the car's struggling right now as meanwhile Witvoet is turned again. Luciano Witvoet gets sent around. I think it was a brief tap from one of the primes around there. I think it was Smith or Jones, albeit won't point the finger, and the World of Racing driver right now be absolutely furious that he's been turned around in 2 laps back to back. But meanwhile, whilst it's getting fast and definitely furious out there, meanwhile Jamie Dory and Wojciech Swirydowicz battling as they make their way down towards turn number 16. And Swirydowicz up the inside. This is to try and take P9 and started P16. Your championship leader really right now going all in to maximise his results today. And Jamie Dory not really having a counter-attack as they make their way up the hill through 17 to 18. But he will have the overspeed here as they begin to make their way towards top gear. They may be in the same car, it's the same setup. But do remember that Swirydowicz has got the extra success ballast in the car. He's got 56 kilograms, whereas Dory by comparison has what is the best part of no weight to the cars, I do believe. And as they make their way through turn 1, Dory on the inside there, Swirydowicz giving them the space to operate because he knows it's a switch back to a right-hander at 2, and we'll 2 wide they go up the rise here in the battle of the Audis. 2-time champion versus what is potential championship contender, and as they make their way up the rise, it's going to be Swirydowicz who gets the move back into position for P9. Brilliant race between her, and Dorian then just does not have a response. But meanwhile, looking to your race leader, this is Stuart Winus, who we ride on board with as he's under pressure there, and move up the inside for Andrew Pike, but Winus squeezes the door shut. Pike's not too pleased about that, but Winus right now getting his elbows out, and the Scotsman here, I think right now, really going all in with regards to wanting not just to try and go for the prime win, his first of the season if he makes it happen, but also trying to hold on to an oval win and add his name to a collection of what is only 5 drivers who've taken oval wins as a prime driver in past seasons. And as they make the way onwards towards what will be turn number 12 for Winus right now, the Track Scotland driver just keeping what is quite behind. But then again, Andrew Pike, he'll know he's worked hard to be in this position, and he will want that overall win given the results he's had in the first race of the day, which was a very strong launch. Race 2 it all went wrong, and race number 3 he wants redemption. But as they make the way through turns 14 and 15, Winus right now proving to be a very obstinate obstacle as they make the way onto the back straight. And from our drivers here, meanwhile, we need to take a look back at the opening lap instance, starting what happened to Adam Delmont on what was the run into turn number 12, and here's the replay. So this was a side-by-side battle between Adam Delmont and Joseph Doble under braking into the corner as they came on down well, in fact, everybody got stacked up together there behind what was Wojciech Swirydowicz. I think it was the Constantino effect, and Joseph Doble and Adam Delmont both being turned in very rapid fashion and then gradually rejoining. But after that, we had the instance down at what was turn 16, and well, we're going to see quite a bit of pandemonium here, ladies and gents. We'll follow this all the way through. So Luciano Witvoet was the first driver to be involved, and well, this was under braking contact there, and in fact, spearing into the scene, the instant was Sam Bernals, who missed his braking point. Now, in all this, what then happened afterwards? Well, Mark Sykes, your AM leader, I think picks up the story here as they made the way to the rise. Wounded cars abound here, cars offline, and as they made the way through the left-hander turn number 18. This was Sykes, who as he made his way down start finish straight was turned sideways into Collins, who carried on to Sykes, was spat off the road there before we saw the pit lane wall incident, and then we subsequently had that incident for Matthew Sheraton and company, but we try to see what happened to them, giving us a brief moment to get a further run of the replay, ladies and gentlemen, and now we focus in on Sam Smith here, who I think was right in amongst the incidents they made their way onto the brakes, with also Matthew Sheraton. In fact, you can see Sheraton just behind us, we focus a bit more, so there was a concertina effect again. We also had Alex Meredith turned off the road in a separate incident. We also see Daniel Downing rejoin, I do believe, so Sheraton rejoins, and this is where it all kicks off. Wayne Douglas makes contact through Sheraton. Emmons is promoted in between them. 3 wide they go. Emmons then tries to back off, but he can't. More cars coming to the scene of the incident. They all come over the crest, and in the end, well, Sheraton tries to duck to the pits. I suspect for always damage to the car. Emmons is taken to the tyre barrier, and it all goes so very, very wrong. And then, on top of that as well, we did have what was the Ace of Spades racing car of what was, I do believe, Shane Piggott being turned left, right, and centre down the start finish straight. But we can't linger anymore on those replays because we've got to get back to the live racing action for you guys and girls at home. And as we do so, we come back to your lead battle, and 1 is still ahead on this 4th lap out of 9 as they make the way over returns 14 and 15, with Pike still there in the pursuit of what would be the overall win. But it's Reese Watt and Akram Zanoon who right now are very eager to try and get past Pike, I should say, and will from close of alliteration right now, where it's going to be 3 primes of potentially contesting the overall win versus the 1 pro driver. They head down to the brakes, and Pike right now going defensive of what, having the overspeed here of what will be the run around the outside. It's turn 16, but the Audi not quite able to hook things up under rotation compared to the Honda. You can see what all over the back. The problem is he can get as close as he dares to do so, but if he can't find a way through, it's not happening. And Akram Zanoon right now very eager to try and prove a point as we ride and walk the 139 driver, which is he's back on the grid as this round, and he's back to fight as they make the way to the break. It's over turn number 1, side by side they go into the left hand right angle corner, and Zanoon in the end can't find his way all the way around the outside, hoping that Watt would perhaps park it on the apex to defend from a cutback, but Zanoon in the end being thwarted as Watt carrying all the speed out the corner, knowing the right hander that follows means that he can carry that speed and not be afraid of a cutback move. And Zanoon now looking to follow in his rival's footsteps up the hill into turns 4 and 5 onto the brakes. A little bit of the rear coming loose there as they make the way through, but the organisation driver so eager to find his way through as he tries to poke and try to get his nose in the run to turn number 7. There's no way into this fight for the time being. He's just sat behind and waited for that opportunity as they head down towards turn number 8. As they come down the hill, meanwhile, we've had further contact down the order. That's Ben Altria and Shane Piggott, and well, it's all gone wrong for the 2 of them. They've had to come in together. This is in the run to turn number 7. I think there's more to the story than them just coming together, but that's what we pick up on our cameras. And as they make the way down towards turns 8 and 9, we've also got a wounded car there. Sam Van Nolst with the front bumper of the Audi, well, in fact, the bonnet hanging upwards, and it's been ejected upwards to the Belgian driver, and with Shane Piggott just behind. And as they make the way out turn number 9 in towards 10, well, right now I think a number of wounded cars are definitely just going to try and hold on for position. That's going to bring the field even closer together outside the top 20 and lead to what will be quite a split in the field. But as they make the way down towards turn number 12, well, definitely everywhere you look there's absolute intense racing going on, and the Doble sim racing driver Joseph Doble right now trying to recover after the incident on lap 1 at this very corner at turn 12 that's cost him so dear. And we've got Marcel Fritsch just in front, and Marcel Fritsch P16 in the prime class, P26. Such is where the scattering of the prime drivers is in the field right now. P26 would feel great for a prime driver in races 1 and 2, but in this race it's nowhere to be seen by comparison as they make the way down the back stretch once again. As they roar the way on down, we look a bit further up the road to see Nick Clemens battling here with Luke Jones. Jones on his inside, Clemens on the outside then into turn 16. Ben Altria thinks about making it 3 wide but decides against it. They're fighting for P11 in the prime class, which P21 overall with AM leader James Vasquez ahead. Bit of contact there between Altria and the inside of what is I do believe Clemens, but in the end nothing bad comes of it. But as they make the way onto another lap, meanwhile we look to Akram Zanoon, who right now has got the pressure of Mikey Doble, and Doble chased his first overall win of the season, but he's going to have a whole crew of what is prime drivers in front of him, absolutely refusing to give in. And will Doble on the inside into turn 5, and as he does so he takes P4 off of Zanoon. That's 1 down, another 3 to go if he wants to make it an overall win. And Andrew Pike has taken the lead of the overall race here to Stuart Wyness. We'll get a replay of how that was done very shortly, but as they make the way on through turn number 7, and Witvoet right now under pressure, as it would seem that his rival's not letting this go just yet, but I think he's going to be made to let it go soon, as Zanoon looks at the move into turn number 8, but in the end finds nothing of it, and well, that means that right now he is going to fall back even further, and well, staying P5 at the moment. I think wait for Mikey Doe to pull him closer to the likes of Rescheduled and Witvoet. Speaking of Stuart Witvoet, this is how the move was made on him for the lead of the race by Andrew Pike. So there's a run down towards turn 1, and Witvoet in the end on the outside, I think hoping that he had the overspeed on the brakes, but Pike having to send it all in. A bit of door-to-door contact between the two of them, but Pike knowing just how fair he needed to be and how fierce he needed to be to get it done, and a classic move for the Sim Racing Collective driver, and will in the end making it count to take the lead of the race. But meanwhile, as we return to your live racing pictures, looking at 2 of these leaders still, well, from them, we look to the bottom end of the top 10. This is Jamie Dory, who right now is 3 seconds behind with Wojciech Swirydowicz, who's in P9, and Dory being left to fend off what is the rest of the field chasing after the top 10 finishing position. As they head down the back straight, on they go towards turn number 6, or turn number 16 I should say, and Patrick Falconer has got the pressure of Lee Horn behind him, and Falconer, to be fair, making a lot of places, having started all the way down in what was, I do believe, none other than P24. Has gained 13 places since the start of this race, and we do show you what is the gain graphic on the left hand side of your screen, and we see some of the biggest gainers and losers, and one of the biggest ones is your AM leader James Mansesgow, who's gained 14 places since the start of this race, and with the Aztec Racing driver just avoiding all the carnage and chaos of the opening lap and finding his way through as a new fastest lap race set by Wojciech Swirydowicz to 2:11.038, and well, Swirydowicz still flying high and chasing more positions before this race is said and done. But meanwhile, we look to Ian Manners, who, as he makes his way down towards turn number 1, looking to gain another place here versus what is Shane Piggott, and doing so it seems, while Luciano Witvoet swings the inside, throwing the dummy there as he goes on the brakes, getting on past Shane Piggott, and well, as Manners making his way up the order now, he'll be chased after Joseph Doble as they make their way through turns 1 and 2, and well, the point being here in the fact that Witvoet's got a long way to go to potentially get himself back in the eligible points. Remember, it's only the top 15 overall places that give points towards the overall championship, and well, the Dutchman just trying to fly high after a brilliant first and second race of the day. But meanwhile, Russell Fowler battling on the inside there with Piggott through turn number 5. Side by side they go on the exit. And then it cuts back to a right hand now, turn 6 and 7. So Piggott's got the inside in return here, and being made to wait behind is Russell Fowler. Piggott takes a little bit too much apex curve, it sends the car wide. Fowler is in the space to rejoin, and knowing that the inside now to turn number 8, it's too wide under braking, but Fowler will get ahead, and Piggott tucks in behind as they close the door on each other, and Fowler makes the move happen for P31. From the 2 prime drivers, we look to our prime drivers in the prime points, and this is Piotr Jegorzelewski, who right now is Sam Smith behind as they make the way through the left and right turns 12 and 13. Or in P18, but Smith cuts it to the inside there, and Jegorzelewski not getting the run out of the corner. Perhaps a mischief there, because it looks as though the car just did not have any speed coming out of turn 12 into 13, but Smith gets the place and takes P18 off in P9 in the class, in the primes that is, and as they make their way down the back straight now, Jegorzelewski will look to try and make a run on the long charge down towards turn 16, but from there, speed of drive's already at turn 16. Well, we've got Mikey Doe looking up the inside of Reese Watt being knocked slightly wide there, a bit of contact, and the JW Motorsport driver will not be too pleased. He's been given the elbow because that Zanoon has been able to sneak through as a result, but Mikey Doe now moves up into P3, and our point about Zanoon just being patient and sitting behind the number 1 driver, it is proving providence here as they make their way onto the penultimate lap of racing here today, and well, Doble's got 2 more places to gain. He's flying out there, he's half a second faster than Wine is, but he's matching the pace of Pike, and I get the feeling if he can find a way past the prime leader, he may struggle to catch up to Pike before all is said and done. I think now it's going to take a mistake from Pike in order for the Sim Racing Collective drive to be reeled in and taken away from what will be his first ever overall win in his NXTCC career. As they head through turn number 5, Winus as well under pressure as we ride on board with the defending champion as the Briton makes his way towards turn number 7, and right now for Doble, I think it's all about just trying to take the place he can before all is said and done. He's got 1 more lap after this one, so you'll know he's got a bit of time, but he'll also be cognizant of the fact that time is running out, and it is running out fast as Wojciech Swirydowicz off camera's gained another place, moved up to P7 now, got ahead of Jack Jeffries, and well, as our drivers make their way onto the second half of the lap, we take a look back to Reese Watt, who's gone very wide. In fact, Watt's gone straight on, and I think that's contact with the tyre barrier at turn number 8-9. What exactly happened to Reese Watt? We get a quick replay. Was he made his way out the corner? Oh, goodness me, it was a shunt to the tyre barrier immediately there, and in the similar fashion to Mark Sykes, but hitting it too hard and head on, and the 32 driver in the end cannot recover the car, and Reeswatt's race is now a tow to the pit. It's a disaster for Reeswatt in the late stages of what's looking to be a fantastic start to the second half of his season. But meanwhile, coming back to live pictures, that's Nick Clemens up the inside of Luke Jones for P10 in the prime class, but late drama for JW Motorsports Reeswatt, and Jones as well losing a place there. The team will be losing some more points in at this final race today, and it's not working out for them in race number 3, but still anything can happen before that checker flag falls, as we always like to say. Indeed, nobody wants to put the commentator's cursor on anybody out there, as meanwhile we look back to what is Jamie Dory, who right now being tailed closely by Lee Horn and Jack Southwood, as Dory going defensive in the middle of the road, under braking there in towards turn number 16, and Southwood thinks about it, but Dory locks up the front left brake, locking up there under rotation in towards turn number 16 as they make the way through 17. Lee Horn gets ahead, but Dory now will have to try and drag race his way on past Southfield as they make the way onwards towards what will be the final lap of racing here today, going into turn 1, but Dory's a long way back, and as the white flag waves, he'll know that he won't want to give up, as meanwhile, oh my good lord, and the lead of the prime class has been sent to the gravel at turn number 2. Wyness and Zanoon have come into contact with one another, and in all of this, Matthew Addy has come through to take the lead of the prime class with only 1 lap remaining. And well, what exactly has happened to trigger that off? We have an immediate replay, and here's the story. So Mikey Noble got ahead into turn 1, exiting the corner. Zanoon gets a phenomenal run, looks to the inside, but Wyness shuts the door there, and in here as the car rebounds from the grass to the circuit. Well, Zanoon's not able to get away, and Wyness comes back in, and well, I think many would wonder, was Zanoon able to actually make a move there? Was the space available? And well, I think he would argue, yes, there was, and Wyness, I think, will be absolutely fuming with that, because it's cost both of them the opportunity to go for the prime win in this final race of the day, and for both drivers to pick up their first ever NXTCC prime win with it. But meanwhile, it's not over yet. Zanoon looking around the outside here of Wyness, coming on through what is, I do believe, turn number 10, and Wyness's car just cannot point through the corners as much as he'd like it to, and I think Wyness right now is just trying to get to the bitter end of this race in what is heartbreak for Track Scotland. It really is for them right now when they're looking at one of their best results of the season, and it's just gone away in the final lap. But as they make the way on around for turn 13, well, there, looking around the outside of Jack Southwood, another place falls. Isaac Dower looks up the inside now, can't quite find it, and everyone just trying to take the place that's on the table to them. But of course, this feast is running out, and there's not much meat left on the bone, as you'd say, as being, well, Kieran Smart for Track Scotland looks to make his way for a bit of contact there with what is, I do believe, the car of Alan McCain. But meanwhile, as they make the way down towards turn 16, we look to your race leader, ladies and gentlemen, and well, it's been a long time coming, it must be said, for the Sim Racing Collective, but today they are going to take their first overwin in the race, and it is Andrew Pike who brings home his first overwin in the NXTCC career of his as he crosses the line. P1, your winner, pro and overall for the Sim Racing Collective ahead of Mikey Dover and Kieran Sharp. It's a double podium for the Sim Racing Collective ahead of Wojciech Swirydowicz with Jack Jeffries P5. Matthew Addy returns to winning ways at the prime class with P6 overall in the winning class. Patrick Falcon to P7, and Zanoon in the end takes the run-up spot in the prime class ahead of Lee Horn, who takes the final spot on the prime podium, P9. Jack Southfield P10, and then we have James Smasescow, who takes the checker flag for the AM win, his first AM class win of the season for Aztec Racing, and the 660 drive will be absolutely jubilant. As meanwhile for Kevin Smith, it's a return to the podium in the AM class, right to the MP32 overall, but P2 in class. And Darren Hills, he takes his first AM podium with a P3 in class for Ace of Spades Racing and P33 overall. Well, he couldn't ask for better than that in the final race of the day. What an absolute dramatic end to the racing, ladies and gentlemen, and some great first time moments. And well, Roy Plummer has come through to take P4 in the AM class, P38 overall for Next Gen, his best result of the season. And Costa Chats Constanzo for 2XM Motorsport is about to take his first ever AM top 5 as well. He's ecstatic about it, and so are we. He crossed the line P39 ahead of what will be Mitchell West, who comes up through for Mitch West Performance P40 as he makes his way to the timeline. And then we are going to have a couple more drivers still to make their way through, including Mark Sykes, who will take P41 in the end after what was the awful start to his race for the 666 machine, but in the end it doesn't give up. Flash of lights there to say he's bringing on home, and all important points in this championship. excuse me, ahead of Matt Emmons, who takes P42, P7 in the AM class, and will then have your last finisher on the lead lap, ladies and gentlemen, and it will be Adam Delmont, who makes his way around here for SO Next Gen Gold, but definitely a challenging day today for many a driver, and Adam Delmont being one of the many involved in a rather nasty shunt earlier in the race, but he takes the final finisher position on the lead lap, P43. But goodness me, ladies and gentlemen, what an end to proceedings. And well, as Andrew Pike makes his way down the back straight here on his cool-down lap, enjoying and savouring the moment for the Sim Racing Collective. And indeed, both he and Kieran Sharp making it a 1-3, with Kieran Sharp missing quite a significant chunk. I do with that's not Kieran Sharp who's missed the chunk of the front bumper, that's Jack Southfield. But a 1-3 for the team, a double podium, a huge injection of points into their team's championship, and that's exactly what the doctor ordered. And well, between them, Mikey Doble, who takes his first podium of the season. Would you believe it, ladies and gentlemen? His first overall podium. It has been a long drought. Not quite his first overall win, but almost there to the overall win. Matthew Addy with the Pro-Am win, and well then Akram Zanoon just behind, albeit I suspect there'll be quite the stewards review with regards to that incident between him and Stuart Wyness, and again, not pointing fingers at either of them. It'll be under clinical observation, but also James Spencer-Scow, who makes his way into the pit lane, and we'll be getting out the car shortly to take that first AM win. As meanwhile, Kevin Smith and also Darren Ills still making their way on down circuit. And well, from Smith, here is Darren Ills as he makes his way into the pit lane, and the Ace of Spades racing driver taking that first AM podium that he's been coveting for some time, and Smith with another AM podium, second place in class, and will what a way to wrap up his day. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, as the remainder of our drivers make their way into the pits, it's time for us to take a look at those race results subject to any stewards' inquiries. And I suspect there's going to be quite a few for this final race of the day. But here are the provisional results from race 3 of 3 in round 5 of season 6 of the NXTCC. And as we can see, Andrew Pike, your overall winner for the Sim Racing Collective, taking his first overall win in his NXTCC career, head of Doble Sim Races, Mikey Doble, with the Sim Racing Collective's Kieran Sharp making it a double podium there overall and in the pro class. Wojciech Swirydowicz starting P16 with all the success ballast that he could be given, and still find their way through to P4. The Semper racing driver making a double podium plus the top 5 today. Well, if anybody had the question of how can you stop him, it has not been answered. There's no doubt about it. And then Jack Jeffries, another top 5 at the end of today. The 67 driver having a great end to his day at MotorLand Aragón. From the Red Grove Projects driver, it was Matthew Addy, your prime winner for Next Gen, a further what was 1.3 seconds behind. Now a sizable gap of 5.5 seconds to Patrick Falconer, P7, with the JW Motorsport drive being followed up by Akram Zanoon for the organisation, runner-up in the prime class ahead of Lee Horn, who was your third and final podium finisher for Next Gen in the prime class, and that prime podium, of course, being Addy, Zanoon and Horn. And Jack Southfield at P10 there for the Sim Racing Collective, ahead of best of the rest Isaac Doble for Doble Sim Racing. Then Benjamin McCluskey at P12 ahead of Stuart Wyness, who'll be absolutely fuming with how the race ended and taking that P13 finish for Track Scotland. But still, he's got to take the positives from this one and know that he showed absolutely phenomenal pace in the final race of the day. It just wasn't to be. And then Jamie Dory and Kieran Smart completing at your top 15. From the Track Scotland driver, it was Sam Smith and Alan McCain for Iris Esports, P16, P17, ahead of what was as we can see there, Piotr Jegorzelewski, and then Nick Clemens and Luke Jones completing your top 20. And from them, a further what was 2 seconds behind Ben Alcheer for Full Tilt B Motorsport, with Marcel Fritsch having his best result of the season, P22 overall for WS Racing Esports. However, not his best result in the prime class, without equating in the end to what was, I do believe, a P13 in class. Luciano Witvoet, Jose Doe and Adam Anali completing the run to P25. With Russell Fowler, P26, head of James Spencer-Scow, your AM winner for this final race today for Aztec Racing, and that first AM win on the board for the 660 driver. Ian Manners, P28, and your top 30 being completed by Shane Piggott and Sam Van Olst. P31 to Wayne Douglas, ahead of Kevin Smith, and the Runner Motorsport driver taking the run-up spot in the AM podium, head of third place class finisher Darren Ills, P33 for Ace of Spades Racing, with his first AM podium of the season, and congratulations to our AM podium of Spencer-Scow, Smith and Ills. We'll then see Matthew Sheraton and Daniel Downing completing the run to P35, with Semper Racers Slavomir Jaworski P36, and then Alex Meredith, Roy Plummer, Costa Chats Continental and Mitchell West completing at your top 40. P41, Mark Sykes for Next Gen ahead of Matt Emmons, and then your last lead lap finisher, Adam Delmont for SRL Next Gen Gold P43. Finishing a lap down, Reese Watt, Craig Tillotson and Gabriel Yilmaz, and they'll be your last finishers of the race with the fact they completed over half the race distance. We can see that Jonathan Collins 5 laps down the end for Whiskey Runner Racing, not quite making the halfway distance, no points scored or finishing position counted. The same for Garen Gardner, and also the same for Daniel Fritz, who retired after 1 lap of racing. So 49 starters and in the end 46 finishers, of which we did see 43 of them on the lead lap. And what a dramatic end to the day of racing at MotorLand Aragón, ladies and gentlemen. But of course, we're not quite complete yet with regards to all of our races today, because coming up shortly will be your post-round interviews with our drivers, and well, I get the feeling they definitely are going to be some interesting interviews. You'll want to stick around for those. We'll be back in approximately 12 to 15 minutes time for our post-round interviews, so we'll see you shortly, ladies and gentlemen. And well, in the meantime, do let us know what has been your highlight or highlights of the racing today in round number 5 of season 6 of the NXTCC. We'll see you shortly. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, it is time for our post-round interviews. And today, we're going to be hearing from two drivers in the AM class. And we'll be hearing some very different stories, albeit some great endings to tell at MotorLand Aragón. We start off Aztec Racing's driver of the 660 of James Mazersgau, who made it an absolutely perfect day for top 5 finishes and also picked up his first AM win of the season. And then we're going to be hearing from 27 Motorsports Costa Chatsconstantinu in the AM class, who had a difficult race 1 and 2, but made it count in race number 3 and brought home his first top 5 in class of the season. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, joining me in the interim now is none other than James Mazersgau. James, allow me to firstly congratulate you on what is your first AM class win of the season in our final race of the day. I mean, that is an achievement in itself. But across the board today, top 5s in qualifying and the other 2 races. I mean, perhaps not perfect, but still a very strong resumption to your NXTCC campaign.
Yeah, it's great. It was good to finally get a win on the board, especially in AM. Last year, I think it was almost impossible to get a win in Pro-Am. Don't know what my best result was, but it certainly wasn't anywhere near. But yeah, it was great. Finally had some luck on my side. I've had pace with me all evening. And yeah, race 1 and 2 got hit, but yeah, race 3 managed to keep it on the track. I sort of just started letting people through. I was like, don't care. It's like I just want to stay in P1 in a class. I just didn't want to get risk being hit. So but yeah, it's great.
Well, that's absolutely fair. I think taking the sensible long-term approach in race number 3, but dialing it all the way back to what is the starter today. Of course, this being the rescheduled round from earlier in the season, and MotorLand Aragón being a bit of a Marmite track for many a driver. How did you come into tonight? Were you feeling confident at MotorLand Aragón, or was it a circuit that you'd rather have missed?
No, I actually love this track. Although to be fair, I'd never driven it before. I bought it about 2 days before the originally scheduled race. So I've literally only ever driven this car around this track, which to be honest is probably a good thing because I've got no bad habits from driving a GT3 or something. So yeah, no, I love this track. It's actually really good fun, especially when you get it right. I think it's one of those tracks that can go quite wrong quite quickly if you make one mistake or get a bit bunched up, but there's a lot of runoff if you do get it wrong, to be fair, as well sometimes. But a couple of cambered corners and stuff like that can be a bit tricky. But yeah, I mean, it's a fun track and I certainly enjoy driving it, that's for sure. And the racing as well, for me as well, was good despite being hit.
Oh, indeed. And speaking of qualifying and that enjoyment of the circuit, we saw a P5 in class, P39 overall on the grid. Looked as though qualifying was quite hooked up, but I suspect what we did see earlier in qualifying is that yourself and some of your teammates opted to take isolated sections of the circuit for your own and really focus on getting those banker laps in before trying to pick up a toe.
Yeah, I mean, I've often found at this point in the season being in the big train of cars at the beginning isn't great for me. I feel like I go better on my own, not being held up, not being held up by the guys in front of me, but more not being dive bombed by the quicker class cars behind. Just seems to be able to get a better lap in when I'm not being held. Obviously, yeah, I lose time with the toe. And eventually, if I was confident enough in my ability to keep up with the other drivers, then yeah, maybe I think I'd aim to be in the big train of cars. But yeah, certainly me and Gabriel certainly opted to be on our own, out of the way. Although it didn't really end up that way in the end, because I ended up getting stuck with other people who had the same idea as me. But yeah, I mean, I definitely could have gone faster in quali, so I wasn't particularly happy with my quali result going into the day. In practice and even in the practice lobby before quali, I'd gotten quicker, so I was sort of like a little bit annoyed that I didn't get the perfect lap in. I think I was almost 8 tenths off of what I thought I was capable of, but I've never really been good in quali. I've always had better race pace than quali pace, so at the end of the day I sort of just knew it was coming and then got my head down for race 1.
Well, goodness me, 8 attempts missing out there, like you've just mentioned, and those 8 attempts would have been worth the best part of potentially putting you in the grid in what would be, if I do some quick mental maths, just behind the lap set by both Mark Sykes and Harley Bicknell. We could have had a three-way fight into turn one, but what instead we did have was a relatively stable race one from yourself, gaining 2 places overall but none in class. Looked as though race one was a bit more about survival and just getting used to how close and tight it would be into the opening few corners.
Yeah, I mean, the launch of the Audi, I got its usual rapid start. I mean, the Audi's the easiest and the quickest to start, in my opinion, but also the easiest to go wrong. You do slightly too much throttle and you're spinning the front wheels to the moon. You can literally wheel spin all the way through 5th gear, I think. So it's quite good. I got the perfect launch. I think I was like 5 spots up by the time we got to turn 1, which is always great. Which seems to be an Audi thing at the moment. Held my own, but I think I gained some 15, almost even 20 spots on like the first 2 laps. On the first lap, sorry, just race 1. So yeah, race 1, I gained about 10 places in that first lap just to be pile drived into the back of and spun halfway around the lap, which caused me to drop back. I didn't come into the pits. I mean, I probably would have done if there was a safety car, but I didn't fall my way. So I just worked my way back through. Luckily, luckily some of the AMs were had also had issues, so I was able to keep up with them because I think tonight my pace was on Pro-Am pace. I thought I could keep up with a lot of the Pro-Ams. Don't tell anyone. I don't want a promotion. Please keep me an AM. But I can certainly keep up. I cruised past a lot of them, gained a few spots back. But yeah, race 1 for me wasn't the ideal, wasn't the perfect race that I wanted.
Well, despite it not being perfect, still being able to show that you're able to match the pace, a number of primes around you, a good sign perhaps of things to come later in the day. And in race number 2, a similar story, 2 more places gained, but no movement in class. Albeit I get the feeling with race number 2, we've seen a lot of drivers really start to have red tempers out there. You found yourself in quite a few door-to-door moments.
Yeah, that's for sure. I was leading AM on the beginning of race 2. Well, only just. I've Mark Sykes right behind me after he'd made a mistake early on, or been turned early on, I think. I don't know. Either way, he was right behind me. And then coming into the hairpin on lap 1, I get net coded slightly, which just unsettles the car on the brakes. And this Audi on the brakes is a right mess if it goes slightly off. Well, at least for me it is, with our brake bias that I run. I've hit the grass, I've slid in, and I've absolutely sideswiped. I think it was one of the JWM cars, I think, at the hairpin. So apologies to them, but I was an absolute passenger coming into that hairpin on that one, which was a shame because I'd had such a good start again in that one. I'd avoided all the big crash at turn 1 and later around the lap as well. That time I had to tow. Car was completely written off. I didn't tow, sorry. Came to the pits, fast repaired, came straight back out. Luckily, I'd already set it up at the beginning of every race. I always turn my tyres and fuel off, so it's just fast repair on, in and out, stop. Rejoined, and yeah, same as race 1, really. Just crawled my way back through, kept it on the track, didn't give up to try and start as high as I could in race 2. But either way, it wasn't going to be an ideal start for me in race 3. Sorry.
Well, race number 2 definitely proved to be a bit of a frustrating race, but then race number 3 seemed to turn things on its head. A P35 start, but come at the end of the first 3 laps, suddenly catapulting you all the way up to the lead of the AM class, and it seemed as though every AM driver around you either got caught up in an instant or found a way to make haste those pesky orange tyre walls, and then you're leading, and it's a lonely lead. I mean, when did you discover you were leading the class?
Quite early on, actually. I had my teammates who weren't racing, or former teammates, Jake Pitt, who doesn't race in this at the moment, although I think he might be coming back. A little hint there. He was spotting. He shouted down. He was like, "Oh, by the way, you're in P1." Because I got past Jonathan Collins, who I'm assuming he had damage, because I just drove past him as if he was standing still halfway around lap 1. But yeah, much the same as race 1 and race 2. Avoided the big crash at turn 1. Stuck my nose underneath it. I've kept my nose out of the wrecks again. Yeah, the whole way around lap 1. and got into the lead. Jonathan Collins, I don't know if he pitted or he was slower, but he suddenly then disappeared. And yeah, I think Alejandro, I think it was, he suddenly told me that I had a 13-second gap to P2, and there was about 15 cars between us, and I was like, oh great, that sounds perfect to me. Oh yeah, Mark Sykes dying on lap 1 as well, after Matt got killed immediately in front of me. Yeah, and then I knew I was in P1. But yeah, a bit eventful. But yeah, it was all about then keeping my nose clean for the rest of the race. I knew that I had a big gap behind me, so I couldn't risk being hit off by someone else in Pro-Am or out or Pro. So I sort of just, kept my nose clean. If they even looked like they were about to send it down my inside, I just let him through. Couldn't risk it, let him have it. I was like, it doesn't matter. It cost me overall points at the end of the day and team points, but I'd rather have a P1 in class at the moment as it stands, especially after I got disqualified from Long Beach Race 1 for running the wrong setup. So I lost 53 points for that one. Go me. But live and learn. I say live and learn. It's the third time now I've been disqualified for running the wrong setup this season. So yeah, I'm really happy with the P1 in that. And really happy with my pace for once around the tracks. I was almost instantly on the ball here.
Well, it definitely showed it is something for you to get proud of. And whilst you may have had a couple of disqualifications in previous rounds, hold you back to the grid, see some points dropped. One thing that's undeniable at the moment is the win plus the 2 P5s in class today have put you into P7. You've moved up 2 places and you're very quickly chasing down the top 5 in the AM class. We've still got 5 rounds to go. And it looks as though you're looking to be a contender for a top 5 finish this season, if not perhaps even chasing the top 3.
Yeah, I mean, missing round 1 really didn't help me. Obviously, we've got to take drop scores as well into contention. I think when they released the drop scores after Long Beach, before they removed my race 1, I think I was about 100, still only 150 points off mark, which is quite a lot. That's a whole, it's achievable in 1 race day, but only if I win all 3 races. So I don't see my chances of necessarily winning the series. I don't think I will. I think I need I need Mark Sykes and Harley Bicknell just to not turn up. I think that would be the ideal situation. But no, at the end of the day, you want a battle. Or we all claim we want a battle. I don't see myself winning it. But yeah, top 5 is 100% achievable, especially after the drop score. Because the points that you see next to my name are the points after the drop round, because I've got a 0-point drop round. So whereas people like Mark will lose some 100 odd points, so it cools it a little bit closer. But yeah, I'm gonna keeping it until the end of the season, trying my hardest, and see where we can end up.
Well, it's a long journey still, and we look forward to see you continue that journey with every point you earn along the way. And well, speaking of upcoming earnings, in a week's time, we make our way back to the United States, to the US state of New York, for the one and only Watkins Glen. How are you feeling for a trip to the Glen?
It's a great track. Love the track. It's yet another track that I have no luck around, which is probably why I did well at Aragon, because I've never driven it before, so I've never had any good luck, but I've never had any bad luck around Aragon. Now, Watkins Glen seems to be my bogey track. But then again, I don't think I've ever properly raced it in a touring car, so maybe that'll be the one that changes it all. But great track, really fun track, and we're running the good layout because I tend to die through the chicane. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. That should be good fun.
Well, we definitely look forward to seeing how you get on in a week's time. But just before we do let you go, James, is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out or a thank you to live on the broadcast tonight?
Yeah, all my teammates. Big thank you to them, because we all help each other out. That's why one of the main reasons why we all run the same car, and we can all give each other the same feedback. So yeah, we're all learning together, especially having someone like Matt, who inevitably, despite his bad luck today, was one of the quickest in Pro-Am. Really should have come away with at least a podium in race 2 there. Big thanks to him, Gabriel, and all the other guys at Aztec Racing, and then all our sponsors, RSR and Demon Tweaks, etc. Big thank you for the help behind the scenes, all the guys running NXTGEN as well, and of course yourself, Paul. Big thank you.
Well, James, likewise, a big thank you to yourself for joining me in the interview room this evening. A great day for yourself, albeit perhaps not the way you expected it to play out, but 3 top 5s, one of which was a class win, all going into the points bank account for yourself and the Aztec Racing team. And well, plenty more racing to come, including at Watkins Glen in a week's time. We look forward to seeing you there. And well, until then, have a great rest of your evening, and we'll catch you in a week's time.
Cool. Thank you, Paul. See you later. Cheers.
So hearing there from James Smansgal, the AM class driver for Aztec Racing, enjoying the racing out there, and well, having little to no experience of MotorLand Aragón until jumping into the touring car racing car machine and the Audi RS3 at that, and liking the circuit, enjoying racing around here, and it showed, albeit things not quite going the way he wanted them to. As he mentioned initially with regards to qualifying, the idea of feeling more comfortable going out there in an isolated lap, but the change being, of course, a number of other drivers had the same idea, so immediately finding a degree of traffic, and in the end qualifying 8/10 down on his target time, which would have been enough to put him on the row behind Mark Sykes and Harley Bickney. We've done the maths, and that's where it would have put him. So imagine we could have had a three-way fight into turn 1 for the AM lead, but it wasn't to be. But what was to be was suddenly an arc whereby James would have to use the launch of the Audi in each race to make some early gains and look to try and consolidate them over the races. But in races 1 and 2, for every place he was able to gain, there was a knock of some description. In race 1, it was just that progress was gradual. In race number 2, it was losing the AM lead midway through. And in race number 3, where it was all about just trying to find a way back into contention, but with every driver around him in the AM class either being involved in an incident or alternatively making a mistake that cost them dear, such as for Jonathan Collins, as we heard from James's perspective only moments ago. In the end, the Aztec Racing driver would take the lead, and he would absolutely make sure to bring it home first and foremost. And as he said, it may have cost us some points in the Teams Championship, but he wanted that AM win, the first one on the board, and now that he's got it, it's only going to cause the champagne to flow evermore, or at least that will be the prediction in theory, and we look forward to seeing when that prediction becomes a reality at Watkins Glen in a week's time. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us on to our second interview and our final interview for this evening, and we're going to be hearing very shortly from none other than Costa Chatscontanantonu as he gets ready to join me in the interview room, and we'll be hearing the story of what is the AM driver who definitely got himself stuck into the fighting today. 2 difficult results early on and a great race 3. And as he joins me in the interview room now, good evening to you, Costa. And well, we caught up with you come at the end of the first half of the season, and what was a challenging day at Long Beach. And it's been a challenging day for yourself today at MotorLand Aragón, albeit the one great thing, of course, your first class top 5 of the season, a P5 in race number 3, so a good end to a day in Spain.
Yeah, I'm really happy. Obviously, Aragon, I know we've tracked World Superbikes, so I track quite a lot. So going back to the last time you made the correlation between real life and sim, but back onto 4 wheels. Yeah, it was a really good improvement from me tonight because I managed to do something which I kind of unlocked in the car. Yeah, and I feel like I'm actually improving on a touring car, which is decent.
Well, those improvements are definitely starting to show, albeit perhaps qualifying a bit of a difficult session. No lap time set by yourself in the end. What happened in qualifying?
Just didn't go out because I have quite a bit of bad luck in qualifying, it seems. So I go out and I tend to get in people's way quite a bit. So I've decided just not to qualify. And yeah, it's worked out quite well so far. But I think next week when the track is a track I actually know, so I might kind of attempt to qualify there, but yeah, just didn't go out.
Well, that's absolutely fair. Taking a safe but not sorry approach. Well, starting from the back of the grid always has its benefits, and well, we got to see in race number 1 you make some early progress, albeit in the end finishing P51 or P13 in the AM class. Looked as though it was a bit of a tough first race of the day.
Yeah, I hit a tyre barrier with tyre boards, and it gave me a lot of damage. So I think it said something like 4 minutes on repair time, and I didn't realise I had quick repairs on because I'm still getting used to all that stuff as well. But yeah, I oversteered quite a bit into the corner. I don't know how you can do it in a front wheel drive car, but yeah, I oversteered, then just went straight into it, and it ripped the right tyre off and bumper off, and the bumper was literally hanging underneath the tyres, so I couldn't even steer.
Well, it was very unfortunate with regards to that moment, and well, we saw many a driver end up with those tyre barriers damaging the suspension or putting the car in an irreparable state and having to either tow it to the pits or crawl it on round. But after the learning experience of race number 1, race number 2, well, it was another difficult race, albeit not for reasons of your own making, with a lot of places gained in the opening couple of laps and in a huge, huge shunt going down at the start-finish straight.
Yeah, all I'm going to say to that is stuff happens because I came around the corner, I saw a bit of smoke, and I was like, do I just go through it? Do I just back off? But I decided to go through it, and then Ben Altria, he had a bit of contact with someone else. I can't remember who he actually made contact with, but I tried to avoid it. He like kind of reversed back and set me straight into the tyre barrier. But yeah, first lap though, it was quite decent. I got a really good start. It helps when you're not on the angle or like on an angle to get a good start because yeah, front wheel drive cars always seem to spin up. But yeah, I think it was up to like I think it was P30. I nearly made it up to, but something like that anyway. But yeah, it was. I would say that's partially on me for just trying to think how I can get through it. Then I got caught up in other people's incidents.
Well, it was unfortunate, but still, sometimes they say if you don't take the risk, you'll never see the rewards. And in a similar vein, in race number 3, and we've just seen some of the replay footage where a similar incident occurred on the start for this straight. This time, you went all in for it, and in doing so, picked up your first class top 5 of the season, a P39 overall, with it your best result overall. Yeah,
I didn't really see the incident, so I just saw. I wasn't really looking to my left. I was looking more to my right, just to see where the other cars were on track. I didn't see the pit lane incident, what happened there. But yeah, I'm really happy with the top 5, and just all I'm saying is things can go up from here because obviously next few tracks I'm really good at, and it's next track's my first. It's where I had my first ever TCR race on iRacing and got a podium, so hopefully that comes back.
Well, it's all sounding up from here, like you say. And, well, Watkins Glen, a circuit which many love, and, well, the New York State circuit, I think it's going to roar with the sound of touring cars. Absolutely aplenty next week. But why is it a circuit perhaps you enjoy?
It's just a roller coaster, really, isn't it? Like, you've got the boot section and you've got the really fast chicane. Obviously, I know we're not on that, but I prefer it in a GT car over in a touring car because, you know, I've watched quite a bit of IMSA, and yeah, I kind of like to try and see how close I can get to people's lap times. But yeah, I love the track. It's a really fun track in my opinion. Obviously, like you got some really wide corners, really tight corners, and some tricky sections too. And I reckon the NXTCC will be brilliant round there.
Oh, we're definitely looking forward to it, and we're looking forward to seeing what you can do at the classic boot layout of Watkins Glen. But Costa, just before I do let you go, 2 last quick questions. Firstly, a change of team name for the remainder of the season, going to 287 Motorsport. What's the story behind that?
Basically, me and my brother decided to come up with this team, which we're hopefully going to run in Club 100 sooner rather than later, making a step up to real racing if you prefer it that way. But yeah, he said, look, if you do this, put my logo on the car, and yeah, he's looking to join back to the NXTCC as well. He used to do the Proto GT3 series a few seasons ago, and he's looking back to do racing. So I just said, yeah, why would we do that? And yeah, hopefully it goes all right with 2, 3, maybe 3 cars on the grid from if there is another season of NXTCC. And yeah, hopefully it just goes all good.
Well, we would definitely love to see that happen. The team expand on the NXTCC grid. We'll hold you to that for season at 7. And then lastly, as always, is there anybody who'd like to give a shout out or a thank you to live on the broadcast tonight?
Yeah, I've obviously got a shout out to my brother for putting this logo on the side of the car. RC Photo. Got to obviously give my own photography page a shout out to. It's Costly Photography, and yeah, hopefully that it's a bit of a rivalry in the house. I can get more followers. So yeah, and I'm just hoping like I can ask Hardy to maybe move his logo aside one day and have my logo on the car. But yeah, obviously I also want to shout out to everyone who makes this league as good as it is. You, Jamie, all the admins, and yeah, it's just been a really good season so far.
Well, Costa, we're absolutely grateful to have you on the grid, and thank you for joining me in the interview room this evening. Congratulations on your performances today, and in the end, earning what you deserve with that P5 in class in the final race. We're looking forward to plenty more at Watkins Glen International and throughout the second half of the season. But until then, have a great rest of your evening, and well done once again.
Thanks, see you later.
So hearing that there from Costa Chatscontinental, the 287 motorsport driver enjoying the racing today, no doubt about it. And well, interesting to his thoughts there with regards to qualifying, opting not to put in a qualifying lap but stay in the pit lane through the risk of potentially being involved in impeding other drivers' laps. And you can understand why perhaps the confidence levels are not too high with his own lap times out there. And well, whilst it is one of our longer circuits on the calendar, 51 cars contesting its mileage, well, at the same time you're always going to see a large number of cars all together. And then subsequently going into the races, race 1 and race number 2 being races where he was able to make some keen progress, but that progress being stinted either through contact with the tyre barrier in race number 1, or alternatively being involved in an incident which he decided to get his head down and try and go through on the start finish straight on race number 2, and it didn't quite work out in either of them. But the confidence was there and it was growing, and in race number 3 that confidence was rewarded with a P5 finish in the AM class. Many a driver in the AM class may have got it wrong, but for Costa in the final race today, he got it so right. And as we just saw there, the battling pictures between himself and Roy Plummer, going for P4 towards the end of the race, but not quite able to find it, and in the end having to settle for the bottom end of the top 5. But still, a top 5 is a top 5, and it's always a great place to start, and we look forward to plenty more from him as this season progresses. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our interviews with our drivers. And well, you've heard from 2 of our AM drivers today. Firstly, you heard from James Smasisgal for Aztec Racing in the AM class, and then you've just heard from Costa Chatscontinental from 287 Motorsport of the same class. Congratulations there both for their great performances at MotorLand Aragón, and we look forward to plenty more for them as we head into the next round of racing in a week's time. And thank you to them once again for joining me in the interview room. But now, of course, the big question on many drivers and also your lips at home, which is how does today's racing affect the standings provisionally before incidents are reviewed? And well, here we go, ladies and gentlemen, taking a look firstly at the overall Drivers' Championship standings. And well, as we can see, Wojciech Swirydowicz's lead has been extended even further. The gap now standing provisionally at 206 points at this point in the season, at the effective halfway point based on rounds, but into the second half of the season. And the Polishman right now just does not seem to be slowing down, with what was second place in race 1, a win in race 2, and then subsequently taking home what was a top 10 in race number 3. It's a huge score of points, and everyone else will be keen to try and find a way to get under his skin. Luciano Witvoet continues to hold on to P2 following his second overall win of the season in the first race of the day, and also that second place in race 2. A key pair of results there, and then Benjamin McCluskey making it into P3 on 477 points. Indeed, right now, this top 3 definitely starting to stabilise, but look how close it is to Mikey Doble, only a further 8 points behind. Following Doble, we have a Golf with Jamie Dory P5 on 415 points, and it looks so the chase for P5 is on, with Adam Delmont there ahead of Isaac Doble, and then Gavin Gardner, a sizable, is 24 points further behind in P8, only 4 clear of Joseph Doble, and then a further was 8 points to Kieran Sharp, who just about sneaks in to the bottom end of the top 10 after his great end to the racing today. Jack Jeffrey sits P11 on 348 points, continuing to knock on the door of the top 10 and eager to try and find his way in, but not quite able to do so here at MotorLand Aragón, with Patrick Falconer, Nick Clemens, Lee Horn and Adam McNally completing your top 15. But notably there we can see that Lee Horn and Nick Clemens have moved into what is P2 and P1 respectively of the Pro-Am order in the overall standings, and Adam McNally has dropped to P3 in their group, P15 overall. But when you turn it on its head and look at the Pro-Am points specifically and the Prime Drivers' Championship, well, Adam McNally will have felt the damage has been done today, with a lack of points being scored across all 3 races. His advantage has been slashed to only 4 points to Ben Altria who conversely had a strong race 1, a good race 2, and race number 3 wasn't quite to be, but still he's been able to close the gap. And look at that in P3, Lee Horn has leapt his way into a margin of only 18 points off of your championship leader, and while Horn always typically has a stronger second half of the season, and it's already starting to show here in the Prime Championship, and with Alex Meredith taking the win in race 1 and a great result in race number 2, well, it may not have come out in race number 3, but his championship campaign is also back on a firm footing, being only what is the best part of 30 points off of P2 drive Ben Altria, and indeed not too far away from the championship leader. Nick Clemens sits P5 on 482 points as well. He's in the mix, and a similar story to Alex Meredith, with Stuart Wyness as well enjoying a great set of results today, and he will be gutted with how race 3 ended. But what he'll also know, the Track Scotland driver, is that whilst he stays in P6, the top 5 is within reach, and even the championship lead now is well within his potential range of targets by the end of the season. Matthew Addy, with the win in the final race of the day, has promoted himself up to P7 on 469 points, one ahead of Daniel Downing, who was in a bit of a background role today, acclimatising into new equipment in the car, but also getting a consistent set of results on the board, keeping him within touch. And there's Akram Zanoon, who's returned to the grid after missing a couple of rounds, P9 ahead of Reese Watt, who completes your top 10, and we're only 7 points clear of Alan McCain, with Luke Jones, Matthew Sheraton, Sam Van Olst and Russell Fowler completing your prime top 15. We'll then come lastly to the AM Drivers' Championship. And here it is Mark Sykes, who is leading still with a large haul of points today after Harley Bicknell retiring from race number 2 and not being on the grid for race number 3. And, well, they weren't able to get the car repaired after what happened in race 2. But Sykes has been able to capitalise on the situation. But the amount he's been able to capitalise has been reduced somewhat after that nasty shunt in the 3rd race of the day. Bicknell, therefore, sits in P2, and knowing that Jonathan Collins is creeping closer little by little, but it's only by slender margins after Collins missed out on a result in race 3 due to that contact with the tyre barrier, and then Kevin Smith and Craig Tillerson are moving closer to that P3 fight. The two drivers separated by 10 points, and Smith moving into P4 ahead of Tillerson after achieving a great set of results today. Daniel Fritz sits P6 ahead of James Massersgau, who moves to P7 from P9 thanks to that win in the final race of the day, with Gabriel Yilmaz behind his teammate for Aztec Racing, and then Darren Ills and Matt Evans completing your top 10. Roy Plummer sits P11 ahead of Riley Sheringham, with Mark Kent and Costa Chatscontinental completing your championship standings. But then we come on to the Teams Championship, last but not least looking at the provisional top 10, and here we can see Next Gen Pink have been able to slightly extend their advantage to 64 points over Doble Sim Racing, but it is still back and forth between the two teams, and we're going to keep saying that throughout this season by the looks of things, with Semper Racing sitting in P3 and once again find themselves not quite able to close the delta to the top 2. Next Gen sit in P4 and only by what is now 11 points ahead of the Sim Racing Collective, who had a huge result in race number 3, and that has galvanised their championship campaign. But SL Next Gen Gold are not too far behind, and JW Motorsport find themselves in a rather particular situation where they're losing touch of the top 6 and instead falling into the clutches of VB Fusion in the world of racing. iRace Esports and Red Grove Projects meanwhile complete your top 10, and their championship fight as well seems to be spreading out to a degree as Red Grove Projects finally make their way into the top 10 for the first time this season. Jack Jeffries bringing that team by himself into the fighting light of the top 10 championship. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our overview of the provisional championship standings, and it is now time for us to wrap up. Thank you very much for watching, and if you have enjoyed today's show and perhaps you're sat there right now wanting to know more about the Next Gen racing community in terms of our ongoing and upcoming series and everything we represent in the world of sim racing and real world motorsport, we do recommend you firstly check out our official website. That's nextgenracing.co.uk, website appearing on screen now, and well, the home of clean and fair sim racing has gone for a recent renovation, and as we continue to go from strength to strength here at Next Gen Racing, we would love to have you as part of the journey, whether you join us on the grid of any of our series, or alternatively just become a member of the community, or perhaps you join some of our endurance teams in the official iRacing endurance events. Well, for all that and more, do head to our website. It's on screen there, and you can find out more about what goes on behind the scenes at Next Gen Racing, and even how to join our official Discord, with that link in the top right corner of our website screen. But if you don't want to go to our website today, well, of course, another place to get all the latest information on Next Gen Racing is our official Facebook group, and that's at facebook.com/groups/Next Gen Racing. We can find out a bit more about the guys and girls who make up Next Gen Racing, and particularly what we do both behind the scenes in virtual racing in the simulator, but also what we do on the real race circuit, where a number of our staff members and admins being track marshals, if not real world racing drivers. We'd also like to take a moment to say a big thank you to our sponsors, who do include PowerMax, Next Level Racing, Mark Sykes Designs, Joyce Design, Sam Cases UK, Douglas Motorsport, our new sponsor as of this round and this week, Falconer PC Builds and Support, and we heard from Patrick Falconer earlier in today's broadcast, and also Benji Sim Photos. And we'd also like to say a big special thank you to our title sponsor for this season, and that is IMB Racewear, the sim racing and real life racing racewear provider that prides itself on individuality with their fully custom designs, enabling you to make the impact you have always wanted to on track, as it is designed for you by you. Do head to their website, that's imbраcewear.com, to find out more about IMB Racewear's fully customizable product range, which brings benefits you just cannot get from off-the-shelf products. The web address again, imbраcewear.com. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, attention now turns to next time, and in round 6 of 10 on Tuesday the 30th of April, set the date for we're going to be making our way back to the United States of America for the second time this season for the one and only mecca of road race in the country, that is the affectionately known Glen. And as our drivers take on its classic boot course, it's going to be fast, it's going to be furious, and with all those cambered corners, we can expect 2 and 3 wide from corner to corner, lap after lap. But who will come away leading the championship campaigns? Because in the overall championship, it is Wojciech Swirydowicz who seems to be unstoppable no matter what happens. And in the Pro-Am class, things are tightening at the top, and Adam McNally knows that his time is potentially numbered right now in leading that championship if he doesn't redeem himself next week. And in the AM class, Mark Sykes continues to extend the lead, but with the mixed fortunes of many a driver, could we see somebody make a breakthrough? All that will be found out in a week's time. But until then, we've been Next Gen Racing. I've been your host and commentator, Paul TX141 Walsh, also known as Britain Spit, depending on what media you follow me on. And until next time, remember to stay safe, stay well, stay smiling, but most importantly, remember to stay on track. Good night.